Good afternoon, everybody. It is about 7 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. You're into The Drive, our first hour on this 23rd day of April. Lovely day outside, a little breezy, but 74 degrees and abundant sunshine. And it is, as you might imagine, a very busy news day. We got a lot going on, including our top story, which happened just a few moments ago on Tennessee's Capitol Hill. The State House, the House of Representatives for the state of Tennessee, has just passed a bill that will allow teachers who go through certain qualifications and get certain permissions to carry concealed weapons on school campuses in the state of Tennessee. This is the House measure, is basically the Tennessee Senate bill, which has been amended. As passed, it now goes to the governor's desk, and we'll wait to see what he was doing. Here's how the vote went down just a few moments ago.
We are voting. All those in favor of Senate Bill 1325 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 68, 28 nays, 2 present, not voting.
Senate Bill 1325, having received a constitutional majority, I declare it passed without objection. The motion to reach chair's table.
Of course, that is noise coming from the gallery, and the speaker had the gallery cleared. It was a feisty round of debate in the Tennessee House this afternoon, with Democrats standing against the measure. Here is Representative Bo Mitchell of Nashville.
Amendment 10 by Representative Mitchell, Mr. Speaker, was timely filed.
Representative Mitchell, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is exempt out Davidson County. I think we've seen in the last week what teachers with guns at a daycare actually do, and that happens to be about a mile from my home where that daycare is located. But first and foremost, I want to take my time. If there's any Covenant parents in the gallery today, I want to apologize to you right now. I am so sorry that you're having to sit here and listen to this. We've done nothing for you. We've lied to you. They've said they're going to do something.
Representative Mitchell, you're on your amendment, please.
You asked him to stay on the amendment, and when he decided that he would not stay on the amendment, they cut his mic. And then finally, Speaker Cameron called the vote.
Representative Mitchell moves adoption of amendment number 10. It's proper motion, properly seconded. Any objection to the question? Seeing none, we're voting. All those in favor of adopting amendment number 10, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no.
They vote very quickly in the state of Tennessee.
Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes, 23, 72 nays.
Amendment number 10 fails.
Yeah, so all of these amendments that were brought by Democrats were going down. Of course, Republicans have a supermajority in the Tennessee House. Here's Representative Justin Jones, who asked for an amendment to the bill.
This amendment is to rename this bill the Refusal to Protect Kids in Schools Act, because that's exactly what you all are doing. This bill is morally insane, and we've come to this chamber for a year expecting you to pass common sense gun laws. You have mothers and grandmothers here dragged from this chamber every week saying arm teachers with the books they need, the materials they need, the resources they need. But for God's sake, you don't hear them. What you're doing today is you're going to put guns in our schools for our teachers, and you should be ashamed of yourself. My Republican colleagues continue to hold our state hostage, hold our state at gunpoint to appeal to their donors in the gun industry. It is morally insane. It is a form of idolatry, and God have mercy on you when you put the lives of our children beneath the contributions of the NRA. God have mercy on you that you do not hear the pain of these mothers saying, protect kids, not guns, and may democracy see you out of your seats, because you have not heard what the majority of Tennesseans want, which is common sense gun laws that protect kids and not guns.
And the gallery is again noisy.
Again, that's your second warning. We're voting on amendment number 12. All those in favor, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Ayes, 24, 74 nays.
Amendment number 12 fails.
And again, it goes down in defeat. And now here is the next amendment from Representative Justin Pearson And his amendment met exactly the same fate.
Amendment 14 by Representative Pearson. Mr. Speaker, was not timely filed.
Representative Pearson, you recognize.
The hypocrisy of our legislature is showing. This would make sure that anyone who is on school property will have to notify other faculty and staff members as well. If we are going to have more firearms in our schools, certainly the people who are like my mother, who's been a teacher for 22 years, would know if someone who is teaching next to them has a firearm in their classroom. This is increasing the dangerousness level of our schools. It is hurting and risking the lives of our children, and each and every one of us will be responsible and accountable for the gun violence that will happen due to this pathetic excuse for dealing with the gun violence epidemic. This is not only pathetic, it is ridiculous, it is immoral, it is wrong, and each and every one of us need to do more to actually make our schools safer. Arming teachers is not the answer, and if it was, teachers would have told us so, but guess what? They didn't. I move for consideration.
And another quick vote.
Motion probably seconded. We're voting for consideration of amendment number 14. All those in favor of considering amendment number 14 vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Trooper, that second warning, the lady in the black needs to go, please. Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
It's 24, 74 nays.
Amendment number 14 fails. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Amendment 15 by Representative Pearson. Mr. Speaker, was not timely filed.
And then it goes on and on and on and on. The sponsor of the bill was Representative Ryan Williams of Cookeville. And rather than, make a bunch of, let the Democrats go on and making all these kind of wild claims about the bill, he very slowly and methodically tried to explain why this bill would only apply under certain circumstances.
You have to have an enhanced carry permit. You have to be able to resubmit your fingerprints as it relates to TBI. You have to do 40 hours of certification with the law enforcement agency who has the memo of understanding with your local LEA, and you would have to have a background check and a psychological evaluation just exactly like those law enforcement agents in your communities are currently SROs, and those as well. If at any point someone doesn't do this or doesn't do well in this, the local law enforcement agency can say no, just like they could say no before. This bill seeks to make the bar so high, but to allow the locals to have the ability to do that it would create a deterrent across our state. This is not new, though, in the nation. There are 32 other states that have similar laws, both red and blue and purple, all across the United States.
And so, as the vote was taken a few minutes later, as we previously reported, it did pass, and it now has been laid upon the table. So you have basically the Tennessee Senate bill, which was passed recently, as amended by the House, and it appears that it will now go forward to the governor's desk for his signature. So the House has passed this measure, the Senate has passed this measure, and it's going to happen. But there is a lot of inflated rhetoric about all of this. Let's just go through very methodically exactly what the bill requires. If you wanted to be a teacher who carried a concealed weapon in class, you would have to get a sign-off from your superintendent, from the principal of your school, from the local law enforcement agency. If any of those three people said, no, we don't want that, it's over. So imagine in Davidson County, where I'm sure they'll be against this, the police chief says, no, it's not going to happen in Davidson County. That's the end of it. And I can almost guarantee you that will happen in Davidson County. All right, so let's say that you get the teacher and the principal, the superintendent, and the law enforcement agency all on the same page. And they say, yeah, it's okay, but you still got to meet certain requirements. What are those requirements? The teacher would have to go through 40 hours of training. The teacher would have to resubmit fingerprints and do a background check. The teacher would have to undergo a psychological and a fitness training. And then if all those things were met, if all those hoops were jumped through, then that teacher would be allowed to concealed carry on campus And the only people who would be alerted would be the principal, the superintendent, and of course, the law enforcement, chief law enforcement agent in that particular area. Could be a police chief, could be a sheriff. So there you have all that. That's all it requires. Now, there are some 500 schools in the state of Tennessee, and these are mostly in rural areas, small schools in rural areas that currently do not have an SRO. It's not that there's not funding available for them. They have a very difficult time finding people and keeping people in these small rural school districts. And in a small rural district, you might have a small police department or sheriff's department. In an entire county, it would not be surprising that if you only had a small county without a lot of population, you might only have 3 sheriff deputies on duty at any given time. Their response time, if something were to happen, is going to be considerable, unless they just happen to get lucky and have somebody nearby. Chances are they're going to have to come from some distance to get to that school. We also know from Covenant and other school shootings that most of the damage happens in the first few minutes. In Covenant, 6 people were killed inside of 3 minutes. The police arrived 8 minutes after the first shot was fired. The police, of course, took quick action, but by then 6 people had already been killed. So it seems to me that if a rural school district thought this was a good idea and they wanted to do it and they had a coach or somebody with military training or somebody former law enforcement that was on staff, maybe the principal would want to go through this. Maybe an assistant principal would want to go through this training and go through all these hoops. And they decided that it was in their best interest to do this, and everybody signed off on it. Then and only then would there be a teacher carrying a concealed weapon inside the school. It is my judgment, and I talked to others on Capitol Hill about this, that probably in the entire state of Tennessee, we're probably talking about a handful of instances where a teacher will want to go through all of those hoops and would be allowed to go all through those hoops. Because remember, the police chief or the sheriff can veto it. The superintendent can veto it. The principal of the school can veto it. That's the end of it. So a lot of this histrionics that you hear, children are going to die, it really is way, way, way overblown when you look at exactly what the law requires. Now, the question is, will this make its way to the governor's desk and will he sign it? Or, there's 2 ways this thing could become law. It goes to the governor's desk and he signs it within the requisite amount of time. After a certain point, if he doesn't sign it, the matter would become law without the governor's signature. One way or the other, it sounds like probably, unless we get some kind of veto notice from the governor, that this is going to be the law in the state of Tennessee. It has been a very interesting day in Tennessee's General Assembly as this has been as chaotic, a lot of screaming and hollering from the gallery, a lot of histrionics from Democrats, but the measure did pass by a large majority in the State House, and now it is headed eventually to the governor's desk for his signature. 20 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. King & Associates Insurance in Brentwood has been around for some 25 years as an independent agency, and that is what you want. That is to your advantage. You want an independent agency. And you say, well, why? Well, because if you have an independent agency, they're able to shop around. They're not just sort of limited to one particular product. They can look at many, many, many different companies and find the one that gives you the best rate and the best coverage. And so you get more bang for your insurance dollar. You don't want to just take whatever they have off the shelf and try to plug it into your situation. No, you want something that really fits your exact need, and they can find that for you. The other thing I love about it is if you call their number, 615-329-8121, you're not going to get a recording. You're not going to be on a phone tree. You're not going to be endlessly waiting for somebody to get on the line. You'll talk to an actual human being every single time, and they will point you in the right direction, get the answers that you need. They are also the kings of the multi-policy discount, 20, 25, 30, 35% savings are possible. So get your royal review today with King and Associates Insurance. Log on to tkinginsurance.com. That's King and Assurance and Royal Associates. I'm sorry, King Assurance and Associates, royal treatment and great rates.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
That bill to allow teachers to carry firearms in Tennessee classrooms just officially passed, and the Capitol is a complete hoot right now. So many people there laying on the floors, holding up signs, shouting. We'll give you a live look from there. Plus, a body found on I-24 eastbound. We'll tell you where and how. 3:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, it was crazy just a few moments ago there in the floor of the Tennessee House.
We are voting. All those in favor of Senate Bill 1325 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 68, 28 nays, 2 present, outvoted.
Senate Bill 1325, having received a constitutional majority, I declare it passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is tabled.
And the speaker had the gallery cleared because there was such chaos. And as Mac will tell you, up on the Hill right now, they are laying on the floor. The protests are continuing. And this is all being done for the show of the cameras. But I just want to challenge my local TV reporter friends who are going to be covering this story to tell the story accurately. And if you watch TV news tonight on 2 or 4 or 5 or it's Fox 17. If you watch any of those shows, just find out this one thing. Do they mention all of the hoops and all of the hurdles that have to be crossed for this to take place? Do they even bother to explain it? Or is it a sensational headline that says something like, teachers are going to be armed in the schools in the state of Tennessee, controversy on Capitol Hill, and they spend a lot of time looking at all the protests, but not really talking about what the bill requires, which we've gone through in great detail here. I'm going to guarantee you that a great number of those reporters are not going to bother to go through exactly what's in the bill. They're just going to cover the screaming and the hollering and all the noise and all the protests. That's not fair and balanced reporting. And they're gonna have a screaming, sensationalized clickbait headline, and then they're gonna throw out, oh, look at the protest, look at people being dragged out. This was a controversial action. When you really look at it, and honesty, when you really study the matter, this is not going to impact Davidson County one bit. This is not going to impact, I guarantee you, it's not going to impact Memphis. It's not going to impact Knoxville, any of the major cities. This is for rural areas where they really struggle to keep SROs hired and on the payroll and keep the kids protected. I'll be shocked, stunned, and amazed if in the grand scheme of things, there are more than 10 people in the entire state who try to take advantage of this and get permission from all of the authorities. Remember, you got to have the superintendent, the principal, and the local law enforcement. Any one of those 3 people can veto it. If you don't pass your psychological evaluation, out. If you don't do your 40 hours, out. I mean, you got to go through all of these very many hoops and do a background check in the whole 9 yards. And if anybody really wants to go through all that, I guarantee you it's going to be in a rural area where they don't have an SRO. And as we learned, there are about 500 schools that just have difficulty keeping an SRO and don't have one currently. So I'm telling you, all of this is, this is a phrase I use a lot, but boy, is it ever apt here. It is sound and fury on Capitol Hill, signifying absolutely not much. So, I want you to watch your local, in fact, tomorrow, I'm going to look tomorrow to see how this is reported on channel 4, 5, and 17 and what? 2. I forgot 2. 2, 4, 5, and 17. I'm going to get you a look at how they reported it and who is a reporter that you can trust in the future to tell the story accurately. Because I guarantee you a lot of those are not going to cover this thing in a fair way. So anyway, there is that. Listen, we got a lot more to cover coming up. Trump is supporting the Speaker of the House yet again, even in the midst of all of his trials. We'll get into some of the trials a little bit later. And the governor has had something to say about the defeat of his school choice program. I've got that for you coming up. Right now, time for the news at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 76 degrees and a windy day in Music City. It'll stay sunny and beautiful these next few days. Got a weather forecast, traffic report coming up. The bill to allow teachers to carry firearms in Tennessee classrooms just passed. Channel 4's Marissa Sulik down at the Capitol getting reaction from that decision.
They were shouting the words, blood on their hands. They have their signs, and this is all after that bill just passed in the House. It also passed in the Senate, which means it is going to the governor's desk. And already we did see one teacher be escorted out inside the gallery for shouting the words during the session. She said, "This is insane." You can see them here. They are still shouting. We also heard from Democrats. They tried to bring up some amendments. They brought up over a dozen to try and exclude their counties from being in this legislation. They also brought forward amendments to make sure parents would know if their child's teacher is carrying or if other faculty or employees could also know. They all failed in the end, and currently Representative Williams, however, he is the bill sponsor. He was trying to pass this, and he says there are enough barriers in place to ensure that those who are carrying guns will be the right ones to carry them.
Background checks and training, some of those other barriers. There are protesters laying on the ground, shouting, holding up signs saying, "One kid over all the guns," or another says, quote, "Which parents get rights?" Staying here in Tennessee right now, Metro Police investigating after a body was found on I-24 East between Old Hickory Boulevard and Briley Parkway this afternoon. It was around mile marker 42. A portion of I-24 East just before Briley Parkway shut down due to this investigation. The Metro Police Fatal Team and other investigators on their way to continue that ongoing investigation. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Let me tell you about Restoration Wellness Med Spa. I am very happy with what they came up with for me. You see, last year I lost a lot of weight, and then it's because I went through some things and wasn't feeling too good. But then I started to gain the weight back when I started to feel better. And I didn't want to do the yo-yo thing up and down, up and down, up and down. So I went to Restoration Wellness Med Spa and say, let's get on some kind of weight control program. Now, I've never taken on a weight loss client before, but I'm very impressed with Jamie and Carly at Restoration Wellness Med Spa in Lebanon and the program they developed for me. You see, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. They took a look at my history, at my lifestyle, and suggested an approach that is starting to show real results. And amazingly, I'm not even hungry, which is really huge. Beyond that, Cabana Wife and I are undergoing peptide therapy at Restoration Wellness Med Spa and are thrilled with the results. We both have noticed greater mental clarity and increased energy. So whether your goal is to lose weight or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness Med Spa has a solution for you. Maybe it's time for you to join more than 1,000 patients who've already seen life-changing results. Here's the number, 615-470-8124. By the way, really nice people. Learn more at restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's 37 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Busy news day, as we mentioned, up on the Tennessee State House. There is they got a big brouhaha going. There's wailing and there's gnashing of teeth, and there are people laying down and chanting and screaming and hollering all over the passage of this bill, which allow a small handful of teachers to get qualified to carry. One of the things that I forgot about, you have to have an enhanced carry permit already to even be considered for this. Then you do 40 hours of additional training. Then you get a psychological evaluation. Then you get a background check. They run your fingerprints again. I mean, there's just hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. I mean, what teacher is realistically going to do this? It's going to apply to a very small number of rural districts, but I guarantee you won't hear one person who was reporting on this from the Hill say that on TV tonight. I bet you $100. Well, I better not say that because there might be one who wants to take me up on it, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So there you have that. Yeah, yesterday we had the really sad news, I think, that the governor said there was no pathway forward to get his school choice bill, which was his signature piece of legislation for this session, through the state legislature, and so therefore it was dead this season. He said he would try next. He did. I found some sound of him talking about this yesterday from Channel 5.
I'm disappointed about that. The chambers came very close to determining what the final version should look like. I regret that families don't have a choice until next year. There is broad agreement that this needs to be done. I feel confident it will be, but we couldn't put the final pieces together this year. We've been working on it 5.5, going on 6 years now. We'll keep on working on it.
Now, the reporter asked Governor Lee about whether or not he would then be looking at the coming elections and making sure that people who supported this position got reelected to the state legislature next year.
Elections are determined based on what people think is important. Policy matters in an election. School choice is a widely popular idea in this state.
Well, will you directly play a role in that? I know Governor Abbott was pretty direct in the Texas battle over this. Will that be something that you'd be interested in doing?
I've always been engaged in primaries in the state whenever there's an election, but I'll certainly be talking to primary candidates about how they feel about school choice.
Well, there you go. I think you should do that, Governor. I think you should talk to people who are running and say, okay, exactly. How do you feel about this? What is your position on this? Could I count on your support? I think that, but I got another idea. I got another idea that I just want to throw out there. I think that it would be great if at the end of this session, they're going to go sine die, which means end of the session on Thursday. Go sine die, and that will be it. We don't have a full-time legislature, and thank God for that. It is a part-time position. And usually, they're done. But, there are options. There are options. The governor could call a special session, give them a couple weeks off, let them cool their heels for a little bit, and then lower the boom on them, Governor. Say, come on, let's do a special session on this issue and this issue alone, school choice. I think that we just can't wait until the end of this year or the beginning of next to start this all over again. Let's just go ahead and get it done now. So last hurrah for this legislative session. Let's do a special session and aim it directly at school choice. I hope he does that. Now, I don't know that he will. He seems resolved to the fact that it's done for this year and a battle that he wants to fight next year. But it's so ridiculous. I would, Governor, I'd haul their butts back to the Hill, and I would make them deal with this. And remember, this is a bill that didn't get killed because the Democrats opposed it. I mean, they did, but that doesn't matter. Not in this state legislature. We super majorities in the House and super majority Republican in the Senate. And the reason this bill failed was because Republicans were arguing with Republicans. Oh, gosh, does that frustrate me. Now, you could argue that the measure that passed today was unpopular in the state, and there are many people who have real concerns about it, but they still passed it, right? And yet you had a popular measure According to some surveys, 69% of the people who live in the state of Tennessee, when polled, said they liked the idea of school choice. It was immensely popular. And yet, Republicans squabbling with Republicans over not a dime's worth of difference. Really, honestly, letting the perfect become the enemy of the good. It's maddening to me. It's frustrating to me that would happen. So I'd say, Governor, just haul their butts back. Make them have a special session. Let's do it. Let's make them come back to the table and go through this process again. Maybe you end up in the same place. Maybe you don't. But, I'm telling you, the bill that you put forward, the ideas that you put forward and were largely carried to fruition in the Senate was a good bill. And I don't understand why the House got hung up on this testing thing. They could have, a lot of ways that could have been resolved. I think they were using that as a cover because I think some people were getting a lot of heat in their home districts from school boards and parents, etc., who were all jazzed up about how bad this was going to be for public education. It didn't impact public education at all. In fact, under the governor's proposal in the budget, public education was going to get a boost. Teachers were going to get a pay raise. It didn't impact public schools at all. It simply allowed parents who find that their kids are in schools that aren't getting the job done. And you know that through the testing, right? You run the test, you see how your schools are testing out. And if your kid is struggling because the school is not getting the job done, it gives you $7,000 to pursue another alternative. Well, I mean, initially the idea was that this money was going to be available to any student in the state who wanted to take advantage of it. $7,000 for homeschooling, $7,000 for private schooling, $7,000 toward a parochial school. It doesn't matter. The money could be used any way that you saw fit because it put the parent in control. And school districts everywhere went, their minds exploded. Oh, my goodness. You're changing things. We don't like it. We like the status quo. Well, the status quo is not working for so many people in the state of Tennessee. Not working. And so it just seems to me that, if I were the governor, and I'm not, thank goodness I wouldn't have that job for love nor money, but I think that Governor Lee is a good man. I think he had a good bill and a good idea. And they may be able to get it across the goal line in a whole bunch of other states. Why is it that we, as Republicans, are fighting among ourselves? I think that they used this whole thing about, well, we want testing and the Senate doesn't want testing. I think that was a straw man. I don't think that was the real issue. I think they were hiding behind that because they were getting a lot of crap from their local school district. Even here in Wilson County, which is about as conservative as it gets, the local school board was against this idea. And I go, I don't understand it. Why? It doesn't impact you at all. It doesn't impact you at all. So, again, Governor Lee, call them back in. Haul their butts back into the state legislature and call a special session on this issue alone. I really hope that you'll consider that. And to my friends in the state legislature, I'm so frustrated that you couldn't get this across the goal. We got a measure that had 69% support in the state of Tennessee. It would have been signed into law by a Republican governor. The Tennessee House and the Tennessee Senate have Republican supermajorities. Anything that they want to get done, they can get done, as we saw today. I mean, they rolled right over the Democrats. That's what happens when you have a supermajority in your House and Senate. No, it wasn't about Democrats. It was about Republicans fighting with Republicans. And I'm not done with this. I promise you, I'm going to keep digging until I find out who was really standing in the way of getting this done. And I'm going to name names. I'm going to do it. In the meantime, Governor, I think it's a great idea. Why don't you call them back in? A couple of other stories that have to do with the Covenant shooting. You remember we have a court case going on that has blocked the release of the writings of the Covenant shooter. And these normally would have been already released by now a long time ago. But there are two different cases. One's a Tennessee case, one is a federal case from the Tennessee Star. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has officially turned over all documents related to the Covenant School killer, including the killer's manifesto, for an in-camera review of materials. In-camera means it will be looked at by the judge and the judge only. The materials were ordered to be turned over to the case and brought by the Star News Digital Media, parent company of the Tennessee Star, and others who were involved in that lawsuit. So she has it, and she's trying to determine, why can't we see this? And she's looking at all, and as far as I can tell, unredacted. She'll get it all. So the FBI has delivered those documents to that federal judge. Then we have a Tennessee state case, and here's again from the Tennessee Star. Tennessee Chancery Court Judge Aisha L. Miles on Monday afternoon ordered Metro Nashville Police Department to provide a redacted copy of the manifesto written by the Covenant School shooter. She made the order after Metro Nashville attorney Laura Fox previously confirmed that Metro Nashville Police Department holds no objections to releasing a redacted version of the manifesto and would now make less redactions to the manifesto than were previously proposed in 2023. Among her demands, Miles made of Metro, she ordered the following be delivered to her: an updated set of redacted documents, which counsel for Metro contends may be released without compromising any active investigation. Police say there still is an active investigation. I'm going to be real interested to find out what that is. Judge Miles also stated in her order that her demand that the Metro Nashville Police Department deliver these documents by May 2nd is not an indication as to whether she will order the public release of the documents at this juncture. You know, there are a ton of people who are involved in that particular case. The Nashville Covenant parents, the Covenant School, the church itself, and a whole bunch of other people who feel like that it would be traumatic to have these documents released. And again, most other people look at it, a lot of other people look at it and say, you know what, the documents are public record, they should be released. The state legislature wants them released so they can determine what was the motivation, in hopes that that would perhaps give them an idea of what kind of legislation might be passed to protect our kids. The governor believes that transparency is in order in this case, and he said, I have great sympathy for the people, the parents who, and their losses. In fact, he has a family friend who suffered a loss in that attack. But he said, I believe in the long run that these documents do need to be released, and he was in favor of having them released. So it is an unusual case, and as it stands right now, both a federal judge and the local Chancery Court judge are taking a look at this and will make a determination about whether or not these documents can or cannot be released. 50 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. You know, the chairman of the Federal Reserve has said that we're on an unsustainable fiscal path. We aren't going to get to pay off that $34 trillion debt anytime soon. And you know what they're going to do. They're just going to print money that will pay off the interest on the debt and weaken the U.S. dollar. Maybe it's time to think about saving with gold and silver and other precious metals. Maybe you've thought about adding gold or precious metals to your portfolio, but you feel like you don't have the knowledge you need to make a smart decision. That's the way I felt, but I got the professional guidance I needed at Nashville Gold & Coin. This is the way it works. You make an appointment, you sit down one-on-one with my friends at Nashville Gold & Coin. They'll answer all your questions and help you make the precious metals investment that is right for you. It's friendly, you'll learn a lot, and you'll never be subjected to high-pressure sales pitches. Gold and silver can be a safe haven in uncertain economic times, and my friends at Nashville Gold & Coin are standing by to answer all your questions about the precious metals market. And by the way, if you have old coins laying around the house gathering dust, you might want to bring them along. You might be surprised just how much they're worth. To set up that one-on-one appointment, just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
The bill allowing teachers to be armed in Tennessee schools passed. A body found on I-24 East. Another day in the Donald Trump hush money trial and a fatal shooting here in the Volunteer State. Those stories at 4 right here. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right. Thank you, Mac Morey. Let's look at the markets. They've been closed here for about an hour. Dow Jones Industrial ended the day up 263 points. S&P up over 1%, 59 points. The NASDAQ up almost 1.6 points, up 245. Let's check in with John Maxon to find out what's driving all of these green screens today. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, the market up for the second day after last week, which was actually the worst day in over a year. So what's happening is we are right now in the middle of big tech earnings, which really kicked off after the bell today. And the hope is that the profits that have been so prevalent with big tech are going to continue. Got a little bit of a shock after market. Tesla, which is the worst performing stock in the S&P, down over 40% on the year, is actually up over 9% in the after hours, and their profit and revenue was down, but they recommitted to a low-cost EV, which the market is really applauding. And we've got a slew of other tech companies reporting, and then big report on Friday, inflation report. The Fed's going to be watching that really closely, but it's all about big tech today.
All right. Thank you much, John. And find out what John Maxon and all of the good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to make sure that you're ready for your retirement by going to their website, askbeaconnow.com. It is 59 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock.
.401, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 76 degrees in Nashville. Gorgeous blue skies. A bit of a breeze. Traffic complete weather forecast coming up 5 minutes. The bill to allow teachers to carry firearms in Tennessee classrooms just passed. Channel 4's Marissa Sulik down at the Capitol getting reaction from that decision.
They were shouting the words, blood on their hands. They have their signs. And this is all after that bill just passed in the House. It also passed in the Senate, which means it is going to the governor's desk. And already we did see one teacher be escorted out inside the gallery for shouting the words during the session. She said, "This is insane." You can see them here. They are still shouting. We also heard from Democrats. They tried to bring up some amendments. They brought up over a dozen to try and exclude their counties from being in this legislation. They also brought forward amendments to make sure parents would know if their child's teacher is carrying or if other faculty or employees could also know. They all failed in the end, and currently Representative Williams, however, he is the bill sponsor. He was trying to pass this, and he says there are enough barriers in place to ensure that those who are carrying guns will be the right ones to carry them.
Background checks and training are some of those barriers. There are protesters lying on the ground, shouting, holding up signs, saying one kid over the guns, or another says, quote, which parents gets rights? Staying here in Tennessee right now, Metro Police are investigating after a body was found on I-24 East between Old Hickory Boulevard and Briley Parkway. It was around this afternoon, around 1:30, and it's around mile marker 42. A portion of that highway just before Briley Parkway shut down due to the investigation. The Metro Police Fatal Team and other investigators on their way to continue that investigation. David Pecker, the former publisher of the National Enquirer, back on the stand today at former President Trump's hush money trial. Pecker telling the court that he was Trump's, quote, eyes and ears and would squash any negative stories about him. Before his testimony, the judge and Todd Blanche, Trump's attorney, argued over whether Trump repeatedly violated his gag order. Catherine Falders.
Todd Blanche was asked multiple times to give certain evidence, or some reasoning, if you will, about why Trump can say what he wants to say out of camera. And Blanche really couldn't do that. And that's when the judge admonished him and said directly to Trump's lead lawyer that you are losing credibility with this court. Certainly not something that Trump's lawyers want to hear.
And back here in Tennessee, more crime. A man in custody, Jacob Allen Garrett, after allegedly shooting and killing another man. It was at a Sumner County home that officials arrived to find Patrick Fullerton dead next to a .22 caliber revolver and blood-stained clothes. Garrett admitted to shooting him. That investigation is active. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes now past the hour, 4 o'clock. Hour number 2 of the drive now kicking off. Man, it's been a busy news day. A lot of things going on in the Tennessee State Legislature. We got that all covered. We'll come back to that in the 5 o'clock hour in case you missed it. But this bill that would allow teachers, if they go through a bunch of training and jump through a lot of hoops and get permission to carry, in some cases, a concealed weapon inside the classroom. Now, that has passed. The Tennessee Senate just passed the House today and now go to the governor's desk for his signature, or not his signature. It can pass without his signature, whatever. We're interested to see how the governor comes down on it. I haven't heard him say how he will respond to this, so maybe we'll get some indication of that. So that's all going on today. But I want to spend some time talking about all of these crazy protests that are going on around college campuses these days. And it really has to do with apparently Palestinian organized protest against what's going on in Israel and Gaza, etc. And it's gotten out of hand to the point where seriously it's starting to have an impact, of course, on the educational process. Now, look, it seems like every year about this time, I call it spring fever. College campuses, they're winding down. They're about, in fact, my daughter's about to graduate later this week at her college campus. So the graduations are near, and they're wrapping things up. And I would imagine that at this point, the demands academically are not that great. Maybe they are taking tests, etc. I don't know. But one way or the other, the spring weather starts to happen, and things happen on college campuses. It's called spring fever. It happens in a lot of different places. This time, it's taken on an ugly bent with Palestinian protesters shouting things like "Death to America" and taking over college campuses. Now, here's the thing: if you talk to students on these college campuses and tell them that you really want to know what's going on behind the scenes, they'll tell you the truth. The truth is that a lot of the people who are protesting are not students at that school. They're professional protesters. This is highly organized. They're being bussed in. I think that there's a pretty good chance they're being paid. And this is being organized at schools all around the country, trying to foment discontent. Now, some of these people may really feel strongly about the plight of the Palestinians, etc. But I don't understand how it is in this country. The country of Israel can be attacked on October 7th, unprovoked attack, and death and destruction beyond measure. Hostages taken and spirited back into the Gaza Strip, and that, of course, of course, when you do something like that, Israel can't do nothing. They have to respond. They got to go try to get their people back, and they have to root out the people who caused these attacks against the state of Israel. And so they do it. And the Israelis are pretty good at that. And they've decimated a good portion of the Gaza Strip. And now, it seems like for some reason that I don't understand, even though they were only responding to an unprovoked attack, there are many people who think, well, it's gone too far. And the United States seems to be unable, or at least our leadership seems unable, to unequivocally condemn what happened there and condemn the violent, sometimes violent protests that are taking place on our college campuses around the country. Joe Biden tried to, talk about trying to walk a tightrope. He doesn't want to offend Muslim Americans and Arab Americans because there's about 100,000 of them that he needs to get on his side for the coming election in Michigan. If he doesn't win Michigan, there's probably not going to win the presidency. And there's about 100,000 Arab Americans, Muslim Americans that live in the Dearborn area who are very irritated with the current president of the United States and his what they see as a bent toward Israel. So he doesn't want to condemn them. On the other hand, he also has to be careful because if he goes too far the other way, a lot of Jewish American voters who have traditionally been, Democrats and have voted Democrat, it irritates them and they'll lose those votes. So he's really trying to walk a tightrope here, and he won't come out and just, unequivocally condemn what is happening on the college campuses, but he should, because it's reprehensible. Jewish students should not have to fear going to class. And that's what's happening in some of these schools right now. Let me just run through some of the stories I found on it. From the Midwesterner.news, Death to America flyers circulate the University of Michigan Gaza camp. There is no more time for arguing with Zionists. Pro-Hamas students planted their flag at the University of Michigan Monday and began sharing anti-American propaganda. They say they do it all the same. They set up a liberation zone, and for Gaza on the Diag, a common area, campus common area, like a large plaza. Several tents could be seen, indicating agitators intend to stay for a while. One banner reads, "Encampment for Gaza, divest now." Palestinian flag seen waving from the lamppost. A giant "Long live the Intifada" banner blocked a sidewalk. Among the most chilling literature to be circulating was a handout that declared, "Freedom for Palestine means death to America." Yes, right here at the University of Michigan, ladies and gentlemen. The struggle for the liberation of Palestine is here. The third Intifada is beginning. There is no more time for arguing with Zionists or appealing to their liberal fascist associates. So this is going on at the University of Michigan. A lot of attention has been, because it happens in New York, Columbia University. Columbia University in New York moved to remote learning on Monday because safety concerns stemming from pro-Palestinian protests that have unsettled the Ivy League school's Jewish population as the Passover holiday is set to begin. They go through and talk about what is going on and how they are, having to go to school remotely because they can't get to their classes. If they try to go to their classes, they are harassed. And one woman, I think, claimed that she had been jabbed in the eye by a Palestinian protester with the bunt of a flagstick. New York Times says students have erected tents on a central campus lawn at Columbia and insisted they will not leave until the university meets their demands, including divestiture from companies that have ties to Israel. Over the past week, police have arrested more than 100 students at Columbia for refusing to leave, including the daughter of Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. So that's going on. It's just ugly up there. And is there any education taking place? No, not much. Listen to this. There is a downside for allowing this to happen on your university campus. And I'm happy to see this. Columbia University faces calls for tuition refunds as school moves to hybrid classes for the rest of semester in wake of anti-Israel protests. From the New York Post. Columbia University has announced that classes at its main campus will be held remotely for the final weeks of the semester, as critics blasted the weak administration for allowing anti-Israel student protesters to shut down the college, in essence, and called on parents to seek tuition refunds. If your kid can't go to class, then you damn well ought to pay back some of that tuition that you paid, right? You paid for your kid to go to the school and go to the class. And if they can't go to the class, I think you are due a little refund. Oh, my goodness. Safety is our highest priority as we strive to support our students' learning and all the required academic operations. No, there is no learning going on that campus at the moment. I can guarantee you. It's completely diverted. All attention is being paid out there to the common areas where the Palestinian protesters have taken up and made an encampment. I think that parents would be well within their rights to say, I paid a boatload of money for my kid to go to the school. And if my kid can't actually go to that school, then I think I deserve absolutely to get some of my tuition back. Columbia University responds after Robert Kraft, owner of the Patriots, says he's pulling support over anti-Semitic violence. On Monday, Kraft, through a statement released through his philanthropic organization, the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism, said he is deeply saddened at the virulent hate that continues to grow on campus and throughout the country, and that he no longer is comfortable supporting the university until corrective action is taken. This from Fox Business. When asked to respond to his remarks Tuesday, a Columbia spokesperson told Fox Business that Columbia is grateful to Mr. Kraft for his years of generosity and service to Columbia. This is a time of crisis for many members of our community, and we are focused on providing the support they need while keeping our campus safe. Another top donor to Columbia, billionaire investor and Omega Advisors CEO Leon Cooperman, was cited by the New York Post as saying that he would stick with a pause on donations to the prestigious institution that started shortly after the Israel-Hamas war began on October 7th. So there's that. Some GOP senators, U.S. senators, have suggested that Biden mobilize the National Guard to protect Jewish college students. Senators Josh Hawley and Tom Cotton called on President Biden to mobilize the National Guard to protect Jewish American college students in response to anti-Israel pro-terrorist demonstrations on campus. Mr. Hawley, Missouri Republican, wrote in a letter to Mr. Biden Monday, on college campuses across the United States, Jewish Americans are at risk. In your statement on Passover, you said it in recent days that we've seen harassment and calls for violence against Jews. This blatant anti-Semitism is reprehensible and dangerous, and it has absolutely no place on college campuses or anywhere in our country. Now you must take action to match those words. You must immediately mobilize the National Guard and any other authorities necessary to ensure the safety of Jewish American students and citizens. I mean, it was the National Guard that was mobilized, during the problems we had with race issues in the 1960s. They sent the National Guard to make sure that black students could have access to education in the South. What's different from that and this? Ensuring that Jewish students can actually be allowed to go to their school, the ones that they pay tuition for. That from the Washington Times. Palestinian protests force colleges to rethink graduation plans. Man, if I were a parent and I had put up a ton of money to get my kid through college, and now comes the moment where the payoff comes, right, for the moms and dads to go to graduation, and they say, we're not going to be able to do the graduation because we're afraid it will turn into a big protest. Would I be angry? You dadgum right I'd be angry. Palestinian forces force colleges to rethink graduation programs from the Wall Street Journal. Schools are scrambling to minimize disruption of commencement celebration as Israel-Hamas conflict stokes tension. And Ezra Dayanim anticipates his commencement ceremony at Columbia University next month will be interrupted by hisses and boos, especially when the university president addresses the crowd. This individual graduating this spring with a joint degree from Columbia and the Jewish Theological Seminary plans to bring his parents and fiancé to the ceremony. He has generally felt safe about in school, he said, and none of his guests have expressed reservations about attending. But in light of what he described as a more hostile mood on campus in recent days due to confrontations over the Israel-Hamas war, he is relieved his grandparents aren't making the trip like they did when his sister graduated a few years ago. How sad. How tremendously sad. These protests are organized. Somebody is financing them. There's a lot of money that's going to, they got buses. They're being bussed around. Somebody's printing up the signs. Isn't that interesting how the protest at this school and the protest at this school and the protest they all look exactly the same. They're reading from a playbook. And we need to find out who is organizing this and where the money is coming from. Follow the money. That's where the story is. 22 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. If you're in the market for a pole barn, the two brothers that run Stoltzko are the two guys you need to talk to. Exceptional quality, craftsmanship, fair prices. They can build your new pole barn to your specifications with your needs in mind. That is the Stoltzko difference. You can use pole barns for all kinds of things. It can function as a classic tool or work barn, a garage, or even a place to live. Flexibility is key. They combine the classic post-frame barn look with the reliability of modern materials and techniques to give you a finished barn that will stand the test of time. They don't scrimp on quality. They don't cut corners. They believe their customers deserve only the best. So do me a favor. Go to their website, stoltzco.com, STOLTZCO.com. Take a look at the things they've done for other people, and you'll get it. You'll really get it. And the first thing you'll do is you say, I got to have me some of that. So call them at 615-622-5992. Stoltzco, where quality workmanship and great customer service is affordable. Learn more at stoltzco.com. That's stoltzco.com.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk?
Talk.
Okay.
TALK.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like. You're going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass,
on the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
A settlement reached with over 100 victims that were abused by Larry Nassar, plus our money news coming from Wall Street. 4:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 26 minutes now past the hour. There's Mac Morey there in the newsroom with all your stories. He's also the host of the runaway hit segment, Mac Morey's Wide, Wild, Wacky, Weird World of Sports, which we do every day at 525. You know, this is a talk news station, talk radio station. And we have a station that does sports all the time just down the hall, our good friends down the hall. But we think that sometimes sports is news, so we take a little time each day, and Mac educates us about the world of sports. He's got a wealth of knowledge.
Well, and today, Brian, you know what's on the agenda. It's gonna be a fun one. There may be a little music too. Who knows?
Oh, that's right, because we gotta play the Catfish song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's coming up at 525. You don't want to miss it. Now, I have a problem, and I want to just tell you right now that if at times today I seem a little distracted, it's because I've got a pesky robin that is, I'm not making this up, My home studio here is here in bucolic Watertown is above my 2-car garage. So I'm upstairs above the garage.
Mm-hmm.
And outside the window here is a little tree that looks over to Grogu's garden and a little pathway that goes over to the pool. And there's a robin that keeps getting into the tree next to the window, and it sees its reflection, and it keeps fighting with itself. It thinks it's another robin. It's the reflection. It's a stupid bird. Doesn't know that, you can't fight with the bird that is you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's what you think.
Unbelievable.
That picture you took, he did have that crazed look in his eye.
It looks to me like a very young male robin. I don't know a great deal. I'm not a bird expert, but that looks to me an immature male robin who hasn't quite learned, that you can't fight with a pane of glass.
He can try, but
And I put it on my Facebook feed, and some of the comments. Put black paper up. Well, apparently, if you put black paper up, I don't know. You have to put it on the outside of the window, right? I don't know why that would help.
And then you don't have a window.
Well, that's right. Exactly. Yeah. Another listener says, I have a bird that keeps looking at himself in my car side mirror and keeps pooping on my car.
No.
Oh,
come on.
That's right. Others have said it's just a beautiful bird. It is a beautiful bird. Not very bright.
Yeah, well.
But it's a beautiful bird.
Can't have it all.
I used to think that, when you saw robins, it's the first sign of spring, you see a robin. Then I found out that's not really true because there are robins that stay, they don't migrate. There are some robins that migrate, but there are other robins that do not migrate. That's what I was told.
Yeah, I kind of see them pretty much year-round at my house, I think.
When the red robin comes bobbing along. Well,
I'm eat up with those, I don't even know what kind of birds they are. They're black birds with a red and yellow stripe, like up under the wing. And they're really annoying. I don't know what they're called, though, but I don't like them.
My favorite kind of red robin's the one with the onion ring tower.
Yes, now we can all agree on that. Every time you talk about the red robin, though, the restaurant, I think of what happened over in Mount Juliet, where there was a shootout in the parking lot. I mean, it was like the Wild West over there. Remember that story?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody they were going to sell something on Facebook Marketplace, and so they agreed to meet in the parking lot over there in front of the Target. Except the target ended up being the red robin, because they apparently they were when the deal didn't go right, they started shooting at each other.
Good grief.
And I mean, the shots were being fired left and right. It's like the Wild West, and one went through the window of the red robin. Oof. Last time I was over there, the window still had not been replaced. They had a piece of plyboard up there.
Wow!
Instead of Red Robin Yum, it was Red Robin Run.
Red Robin Duck. It should have been named after a robin. Should have been named after a duck.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the Red Robin. Anybody got robin suggestions? Send them to the super text line, the Members Nutrition super text line, and Chris will relay them to me. On that note, it is 31 minutes past the hour, and time for the news.
.431, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Currently 76 degrees and a bit of a breeze on Music Row. We got a forecast and a traffic report just ahead, 5 minutes. The Justice Department announced it has reached a $138.7 million settlement with more than 100 victims sexually abused by Larry Nassar, the former doctor for USA Gymnastics. Pierre Thomas says it's a dark day for the FBI.
When we witness calls for violence, physical intimidation, hateful anti-Semitic rhetoric, those are unacceptable. We will denounce them. The president knows that silence is complicity, and that's why he uses the platforms he has to try and ensure that our fellow Americans are safe.
Some more breaking news in Tennessee legislation. We heard earlier today that the bill that would allow teachers to carry firearms in schools did pass. Well, a bill that would have banned pride flags in Tennessee schools is dead. That failed to pass the Tennessee Senate yesterday. We will give you more information on that as we hear it right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Now over to some money news. Daria Albinger filling us in on Wall Street.
Stocks continue to rise, boosted by some strong earnings reports. The Dow rallied 264 points. The Nasdaq added 245, and the S&P jumped 60. The Russell 2000, a small caps index, also closed higher. Aside from a small drop in U.S. vehicle sales, General Motors' first quarter earnings accelerated by more than 25%, driven by strong deliveries of pickups and other higher-priced vehicles. Kimberly-Clark's numbers also beat analysts' expectations. The Federal Trade Commission's voted to ban what are known as non-compete agreements, which prevent workers from jumping to or starting competing companies for a prescribed period of time. The FTC says 30 million Americans, about 1 in 5 workers, are subject to such restrictions. Non-competes are usually associated with high-level executives, but in recent years, they've been applied to lower-paying jobs, too. The rule is almost certain to be challenged in court.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
You know, we have some exciting news. Many of you who've lived here for a long time know that Durafix has been in Middle Tennessee, the place to go for your European car repair now for some 24 years. And we've all watched them grow. Well, I don't know about you, but I love watching a hometown business take off. And the folks at Eurofix are now proud to announce a 5th location for Eurofix in Mount Juliet, on Mount Juliet Road, right across from the Dairy Queen. Eurofix can serve you in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now their newest facility, very nice facility in Mount Juliet. Pretty cool getting to watch a small town mechanic starting at a barn in the backyard of his single wide trailer grow to 5 locations, repairing, I'm not kidding, thousands of cars each month. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. To set up your appointment, just call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you. It is 39 minutes now past the hour, 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Nice day. A little breezy, 75 on this April 23rd, a Tuesday. Abundant sunshine. I'm taking some of that. I think though, it's sort of cool. The breeze is cool.
Yeah, but it's warmer today. I think we're at 75 now. So
yesterday was a bit chilly.
That's
right.
Good.
Yeah, I'm still having to use both sides of my HVAC.
Yeah, it did get chilly overnight.
Yeah, you get chilly at night, and then about middle of the day, you need a little AC.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting a workout. I'll tell you for sure. Let's see what we got here. I can't decide which direction. I think I'll go this way. We'll swamp it up. Can we swamp it up on short notice? I didn't give you any advance warning that we needed to swamp it up. Uh-oh. There it is. Thank you. Let's head down to the swamp. All kinds of things happen that are swampalicious. I spent 31 years covering that godforsaken place, and I feel like I can give you some good advice on exactly how to understand what happens there. I'm trying to pull up one more little soundbite. Here we go. I got it. Okay, now I'm ready to go. The big battle is going on now about whether or not the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, can survive any kind of attempt to motion to vacate the MTV. You got Marjorie Taylor Greene. You have MTG, who might call for an MTV. Marjorie Taylor Greene might call for a motion to vacate the chair, and that would remove the Speaker if there were votes against him, right? She's escalating her threat to remove Speaker Mike Johnson, but faces a steep climb if she hopes to achieve that goal. Not only has the Speaker recently received a glowing review from former President Trump, the presumed GOP nominee, but Democrats remain ready to rescue Johnson from a conservative coup. Here's, by the way, Trump speaking on a radio show, I think yesterday, had this to say about Johnson.
Well, look, we have a majority of one, okay? So it's not like he can go and do whatever he wants to do. I think he's a very good person. He stood very strongly with me on the NATO when I said that NATO has to pay up, and they have to pay up soon and fast, and he has stood strongly on that.
All right, so Trump has put his arm around him. He continues to say nice things about it. That makes it very difficult for Republicans to be against it, because if they are against Johnson, they are against the position of the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party. On top of that, many of the conservatives most frustrated with Johnson's leadership style are now opposing the motion to vacate, leaving Greene with only the barest GOP support for her removal resolution. So you only need a couple of votes if everybody votes party line. But we've already heard that some Democrats, because they really appreciated the Speaker bringing up the possibility of a vote on Ukraine, as well as Israel and Taiwan, are willing to vote for him to keep his speakership alive. Of course, I think that weakens him tremendously if he can only stay in office with the support of Democrats. That doesn't make him a very powerful Republican speaker and will irritate a lot of people, but it looks like that's the way it is. I think Johnson survives through the end of this term, and then I don't know what's going to happen. If he continues to have the support of Trump, I suspect he would be reelected Speaker. And so far, Trump has been very positive, and as he seems to understand the fact that Johnson, who controls the Republican House with the thinnest of majorities, like 1 or 2 votes, you just can't get everything that you want, and it frustrates conservatives. It's sort of like, I can understand how it's frustrating to be a member of the House and to not be able to get things that you want done, because it's never going to be considered in the Senate. It's never going to get through the Senate. And even if it got through the Senate and went to the president's desk, we have a Democrat president who would veto it. And it's very hard to override a veto. It can be done, but it's hard. And so, frustrating. You have all these things you want to accomplish, and you really can't get what you want because you're only a small part of the entire picture. Democrats control the Senate and they control the White House. And in that scenario, you don't often get things that you want. But, I can understand the frustration. I imagine that Democrats in our state legislature feel the same way. I mean, today, on this vote about arming teachers. The supermajority Republican majority in the House just kept shooting down everything the Democrats have put forward. That's what happens. You win elections, you get to do that. The way that you get that to stop is you win more elections. I don't think we're going to win many elections with Republicans squabbling among themselves. If we worked, I'm just going to make this point. If we as conservative and Republicans worked half as hard at going after the Democrats as we do as going at each other, we would be very successful. We fight among ourselves. We shoot our own selves in the foot. That bird is back. I about had enough of that bird. All right. So anyway, that's going on. And it doesn't look like that he's going anywhere anytime soon. Also from the swamp, watch Thursday. I said this yesterday. I'll say it again. The Supreme Court will take on an interesting case. Why SCOTUS will toss out 350 J6 convictions. A clear majority questions the DOJ's use of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act to prosecute J6 defendants. This is from thespectator.org. It's unlikely that many Americans sat down with a second cup of coffee and listened to last Tuesday's oral arguments before the Supreme Court in Fisher versus the United States. Nonetheless, it was an edifying tutorial on how the Department of Justice abused a federal law in order to charge J6 rioters with a serious felony. The statute is part of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act passed in 2002 to prevent corporations from tampering with evidence to obstruct congressional inquiries or other proceedings. For 19 years now, the law was only used for that purpose. Then in 2021, the DOJ redefined official proceedings to mean anything the government does, including the certification of electoral college votes. That arbitrary revision became necessary because the actual crimes committed by most of the J6 defendants amounted to little more than trespassing and disorderly conduct. This obviously conflicted with the narrative being pushed by President Biden, congressional Democrats, and the corporate media, all of whom insisted from the beginning that the riot was a deadly insurrection. Well, there you go. They heard that case, and if the Supreme Court, and by the way, the conservatives, we have a 6-3 conservative court right now, and the conservatives on the high court really seem to question why and how the Department of Justice had changed its definition and was able to then use the Sarbanes-Oxley Act to prosecute January 6 defendants. If they come up with a certain ruling here, some 350 J6 convictions could be thrown out. We covered extensively on Monday the big doings over the weekend where the House passed a $95 billion foreign aid package. Controversial. Money for Israel, not so controversial. Money for Ukraine, definitely controversial. Money for Taiwan, not so much. And then there's a fourth bill out there, actually, that will require the divestiture of TikTok. And that's not been getting a lot of attention, but if it gets signed into law by the president, TikTok will have 1 year to divest its Chinese ownership, at least for the operation here in the United States. But now that measure has gone over to the Senate, and today I've been checking. I haven't seen a vote on it yet. The Senate is expected to advance that $95 billion national security package that includes foreign aid for the war-torn nations of Ukraine, Israel, as well as the Indo-Pacific. The bill, as I said, also includes a measure to force TikTok to divest from its Chinese parent company, this according to the Epoch Times. The Ukraine bill, according to Daily Fetched, this is not going to go well. House Speaker Mike Johnson, in his spending bill that he passed through the House, includes hundreds of millions of dollars from the American taxpayer to secure Ukraine's border. Oh, yeah, I'm not making this up. It will send taxpayer money, according to the Daily Fetch, to Ukraine's Border Patrol agents. let's see. Slipped into the funding package in Ukraine spending is $300 million for the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine and National Police of Ukraine, including units supporting 21 are under the command of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. So there is money in there for the Ukraine Border Patrol. The State Border Guard Service is the Ukrainian equivalent of the U.S. Border Patrol. We don't have any money going to control our situation on the border, but we're sending $300 million to the Border Patrol of Ukraine. Not good. And it's not going to sit well with a lot of people, and yet this is going to go through the Senate and will be signed into law, and that will happen. Not a penny for our Border Patrol, but $300 million for the Ukraine Border Patrol. That's going to happen today. And then in a minute, or I guess we'll do this next hour, I want to visit what's going on with the Trump trials, and one legal analyst who says that he's in utter disbelief over how this trial is going and what he heard in the opening statements. It's all straight ahead, but right now it's 50 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Busy Bee, when you need heat or cold AC right now, as I mentioned a few moments ago, this is the time of year where you need your heater, you need your air conditioning, you need both sides of that thing to work. And if one side or the other is not getting it done, or maybe it's just time to replace the darn thing because it's so old, maybe you should call the folks at Busy Bee, 615-775-7833. That's what I do. They've done so much work for me around my house here in Watertown. I absolutely love these people. It's a good company, and they're good people. One way that you keep your system running is to do preventative maintenance. Remember, your daddy told you about your car, said you got to do preventative maintenance. You got to change the oil. You got to keep it running. Same thing with an HVAC system and plumbing systems. You've got to maintain them. And so if you're a member of the Beehive Club, starts as little as $99. And for that, you get 3 thorough maintenance services on your systems, one aimed at heating, one aimed at cooling, one aimed at plumbing. No overtime charges, 24/7, 10% off all repairs. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is your official Rude Pro partner. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833, online at busybehvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Teachers now allowed to carry firearms in schools after bill passes. Another day of the Donald Trump hush money trial and animal crime here in Tennessee. Those stories and more, 5 o'clock right here. Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
It was indeed a raucous day. I guess it's still a raucous day up in our Tennessee General Assembly as they passed that bill. It was controversial. They were screaming and hollering from the balcony, from the gallery of the House of Representatives. And on top of all that, it continued out into the hallway. But this bill has passed. It has passed both the House and the Senate, and will now head over to the governor's desk. I spent a great deal of time this afternoon covering and listening to some of the debate, and I'll take you to some of that debate coming up in the next hour, right after the news with Mac Moore. It is 58 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Five o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 76 degrees and a bit of a breezy day here in Nashville. Traffic, complete weather forecast 5 minutes away. The bill to allow teachers to carry firearms in Tennessee classrooms just passed. Channel 4's Marissa Sulik down at the Capitol getting reaction from that decision.
They were shouting the words, blood on their hands. They have their signs, and this is all after that bill just passed in the House. It also passed in the Senate, which means it is going to the governor's desk. And already we did see one teacher be escorted out inside the gallery for shouting the words during the session. She said, "This is insane." You can see them here. They are still shouting. We also heard from Democrats. They tried to bring up some amendments. They brought up over a dozen to try and exclude their counties from being in this legislation. They also brought forward amendments to make sure parents would know if their child's teacher is carrying, or if other faculty or employees could also know. They all failed in the end, and currently Representative Williams, however, he is the bill sponsor. He was trying to pass this, and he says there are enough barriers in place to ensure that those who are carrying guns will be the right ones to carry them.
Background checks, training, some of those barriers. Protesters over at the Capitol today holding up signs that say, quote, "It is the guns," or another says, "Which parents gets rights?" One teacher had to be removed by Tennessee state troopers. Former President Trump back in court today for his hush money trial in New York. On the stand today, David Pecker, who ran the National Enquirer during the 2016 election. Pecker telling the court that he was Trump's, quote, eyes and ears and would squash any negative stories about him while publishing negative stories about his political opponents. Pecker also said that during a 2015 meeting with Trump and his former fixer, Michael Cohen, they asked Pecker about running stories that would help the campaign. Olivia Rubin also says Pecker told the court about the first story he squashed and called it catch and kill.
He walked the jury through the first time that he ever caught and killed a story for Donald Trump. It was in late 2015, and it was a doorman who worked at Trump Tower was shopping a false story that Donald Trump had fathered an illegitimate child with a maid at Trump Tower. And you can sort of see Donald Trump's face. His head is shaking as he's sitting at the defense table when Pecker first says what that allegation is.
And Trump's accused of falsifying business records to cover up a hush money payment and alleged affair with adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Animal crime in the state. Channel 4 reports that Bedford County Animal Control seized 26 malnourished horses from a property on Highway 31. This was yesterday. A total of 25 walking horses and one Palomino pony from babies to 20-year-olds were seized by animal control staff. Officials said that the horses will be fostered and distributed to 3 different agencies. The seizure took about 30 people and several trucks and trailers to remove those animals. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's 6 minutes, almost 7 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Hour number 3. That's number 3 of the drive now getting underway here, bringing you news and information you can use. Let's get you home safely. Let's drive home a few salient points, and maybe along the way we'll drive the liberals just a little bit crazy. I think there were a lot of liberals driven kind of crazy today because the state legislature did something that is driving the liberals absolutely mad. As you know, we have supermajority Republican House and Senate in the state of Tennessee, and they pretty much, run the place. And, surprisingly, they can't get a bill that had great popular support across the goal line when it comes to school choice, something the governor wanted. But there was a controversial bill that they passed with no problem at all today, and I'm glad they did. I think the bill needed to be passed. My personal opinion is it has been widely misrepresented. There's been a wildly crazy bit of wailing and gnashing of teeth about something that really is not what they think it is. But let's get into it. It has to do with arming teachers in the classroom, allowing teachers, after they jump through a series of hoops, and I'll get into that in a moment, to if they have a concealed carry permit, an enhanced concealed carry permit, they go through all the steps, they would be allowed to carry a concealed weapon inside the classroom. That was what the bill called for. It's a bit more complex than that, but the Democrats are absolutely apoplectic about this idea. It didn't matter because it passed in the conservative Tennessee state legislature today. Measure had already passed the Senate. This was the vote in the House.
We're voting. All those in favor of Senate Bill 1325 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 68, 28 nays, 2 present, not voting.
Senate Bill 1325, having received a constitutional majority, I declare it passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is tabled.
And the noise, of course, coming from the gallery. And finally, the Speaker, Cameron Sexton, had the gallery cleared by the state troopers who provide security at the state capitol. So that was the final vote. Democrats throughout the day tried to amend the bill to no success. Here's Representative Bo Mitchell of Nashville.
Amendment 10 by Representative Mitchell. Mr. Speaker, it was timely filed.
Representative Mitchell, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is exempt out Davidson County. I think we've seen in the last week what teachers with guns at a daycare actually do, and that happens to be about a mile from my home where that daycare is located. But first and foremost, I want to take my time. If there's any Covenant parents in the gallery today, I want to apologize to you right now. I am so sorry that you're having to sit here and listen to this. We've done nothing for you. We've lied to you. They've said they're going to do something.
Representative Mitchell, you're on your amendment, please.
Tried to keep him on topic.
On your amendment. Stay on your amendment, please. Representative Mitchell moves adoption of amendment number 10. It's proper motion, properly seconded. Any objection to the question? Seeing none, we're voting. All those in favor of adopting amendment number 10, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 23, 72 nays.
Amendment number 10 fails.
And it went down hard. And most of these amendments did go down by exactly that same number. Here is Representative, we're going to get both the Justins in here. We'll start with Representative Justin Jones.
This amendment is to rename this bill the Refusal to Protect Kids in Schools Act, because that's exactly what you all are doing. This bill is morally insane, and we've come to this chamber for a year expecting you to pass common sense gun laws. You have mothers and grandmothers here dragged from this chamber every week saying arm teachers with the books they need, the materials they need, the resources they need. But for God's sake, you don't hear them. What you're doing today is you're going to put guns in our schools for our teachers, and you should be ashamed of yourself. My Republican colleagues continue to hold our state hostage, hold our state at gunpoint to appeal to their donors in the gun industry. It is morally insane. It is is a form of idolatry, and God have mercy on you when you put the lives of our children beneath the contributions of the NRA. God have mercy on you that you do not hear the pain of these mothers saying, protect kids, not guns, and may democracy see you out of your seats, because you have not heard what the majority of Tennesseans want, which is common sense gun laws that protect kids and not guns.
And there was of course, this is all being done for the camera's benefit.
Again, that's your second warning. We're voting on amendment number 12. All those in favor vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed vote no. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Ayes 24, 74 nays.
Amendment
All
number
right.
12 fails.
There's Justin Jones. Let's turn now to the other Justin Pearson.
Amendment 14 by Representative Pearson, Mr. Speaker, was not timely filed.
Representative Pearson, you recognized.
The hypocrisy of our legislature is showing. This would make sure that anyone who is on school property will have to notify other faculty and staff members as well. If we are going to have more firearms in our schools, certainly the people who are like my mother, who's been a teacher for 22 years, would know if someone who is teaching next to them has a firearm in their classroom. This is increasing the dangerousness level of our schools. It is hurting and risking the lives of our children, and each and every one of us will be responsible and accountable for the gun violence that will happen due to this pathetic excuse for dealing with the gun violence epidemic. This is not only pathetic, it is ridiculous, it is immoral, it is wrong, and each and every one of us need to do more to actually make our schools safer. Arming teachers is not the answer, and if it was, teachers would have told us so, but guess what? They didn't. I move for consideration.
You've heard the motion, probably seconded. We're voting for consideration of amendment number 14. All those in favor of considering amendment number 14 vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed vote no. As every member voted, does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Trooper, that second warning, the lady in the black needs to go, please. Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 24, 74 nays.
Amendment number 14 fails. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
All right, so now I'm going to tell you, the sponsor of the bill did have a chance to make the case. And what I think you're going to find, if you listen carefully to Representative Ryan Williams of Cookeville, you're going to hear him explain what this bill is really all about, without all of the hyperbole, without all the histrionics, without all the showboating for the camera and for the crowds in the gallery. It really is not what they say it is. Because in order for this to actually take place, a lot of things have to happen. You have to have the approval of the superintendent, the principal of the school, the local law enforcement agency, which could be a police department or the sheriff. It could be the police chief or the sheriff. All have to sign off. If any of the three say no, it's over. So, for example, in Davidson County, if the superintendent of schools says we're not going to have that in our schools, that's it. It ain't going to happen in the schools. That's how easy it is to stop this if you don't want it. It's really aimed at rural schools which have a difficult time trying to find SROs, school resource officers. But here's Representative Ryan Williams talking about his amendment, his bill, and what it actually tries to accomplish.
You have to have an enhanced carry permit. You have to be able to resubmit your fingerprints as it relates to TBI. You have to do 40 hours of certification with the law enforcement agency who has the memo of understanding with your local LEA. And you would have to have a background check and a psychological evaluation, just exactly like those law enforcement agents in your communities are currently SROs, and those as well. If at any point someone doesn't do this or doesn't do well in this, the local law enforcement agency can say no, just like they could say no before. This bill, it seeks to make the bar so high, but to allow the locals to have the ability to do that it would create a deterrent across our state. This is not new, though, in the nation. There are 32 other states that have similar laws, both red and blue and purple, all across the United States.
So, it is not an uncommon bill seen in other places, and nobody has particularly come up and said, well, this bill didn't work in this state or that state. Look, and the bottom line here is that this is really aimed at rural areas. There are some 500 school systems in the state that don't have SRO officers. They don't for various reasons. And so the idea here is that maybe you have a coach with some military training. Maybe you have a former police officer who now teaches in the school. Maybe your vice principal or your principal would want to go through the training and go through all of these different things. And the idea would be that in those circumstances, if, number one, you got the sign-off of the superintendent, the principal, and the local law enforcement authority, either the police chief or the sheriff, if you did the enhanced background, get the enhanced concealed carry permit, if you gave fingerprints, if you did the 40 hours of training, if you did the background check and the psych evaluation and all those things passed, then and only then would it allow to go forward. There are about a dozen ways that if a local institution did not want this to happen, it would not happen. Principal could say no. The superintendent could say no. The police chief could say no. The sheriff deputy or sheriff office could say no. And that's it. That's the end of it. But honestly, this is aimed at rural districts. It's never going to be imposed in like Davidson County ever. No chance that it will happen. But if you need this is the nice. Here's the thing you got to realize. We, of course, went through the Covenant shooting, and it's a tragic and terrible thing. Surprisingly, there are Covenant parents who are against this idea, even though they have armed guards in their classroom. Weren't there that day, but they do have them. And the thing is that you would think that they would understand this, the desire to protect the kids, because at Covenant, the shooter got in the door, and 6 people were killed within 3 minutes. The police did not arrive for another 5. The damage is done in the first few minutes. I don't know about you, but I've never wanted to be in a place where it was all them and no me. I would want to have the option of trying to protect my life and the life of the children that I am trying to teach. And I just don't understand why there's such an objection to this. Because I think probably in the entire state of Tennessee, I'd be surprised if 10 people were to go through all of this process and be authorized to carry a concealed weapon on campus. I'd be shocked. I'd be stunned. I'd be amazed if it's more than that. So all of the histrionics about, well, we don't want this in our classroom. Well, the vast majority of classrooms are not going to have it. If you have an SRO, probably no need for it. If the principal said no, that's it. If the superintendent said no, that's it. If the police chief said no, that's it. I mean, I'm telling you what's going to happen in Davidson County. The superintendent's going to say, under no circumstances will we allow this to happen in a Davidson County school. And that's the end of it. But why shouldn't these small rural counties where you might only have 3 deputies patrolling the entire county on a given day? If you need a sheriff deputy in one of these rural counties, it can be 15, 20 minutes or more before that deputy could be there. Imagine the carnage that could take place. Shouldn't there be something in the way of a deterrent in situations like that? Honestly, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to promise you that tonight on the local news, it's starting right now. On the local news, they're going to cover this event, and they're going to cover the histrionics, and they're going to cover the protest, and that's all good and fine. It's part of the story. It is a part of the story. But you know what else is part of the story? All of the hoops that you have to jump through in order for this to be used, and how it will probably not be used in the vast majority of school districts around the state. And this is all of this dog and pony show, and the screaming and the hollering and the wailing and the gnashing of the teeth is all basically for naught, because it will never be in most schools. But do you think that the local TV stations will cover that part of the story about the background checks, about the fingerprints, etc.? No, I don't think they will. And I'm going to look at every one of their stories, and I'll tell you tomorrow who gave it fair and balanced coverage and who did not. I'm going to name names. 21 past the hour. If you've been here for a while, you know this is a big deal. Genesis Diamond's spring store-wide sale is this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is the big one with unbelievable store-wide savings up to 35% off. Rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, thousands of engagement ring settings, natural and lab-grown diamonds. Special pricing across the board with zero interest financing as well. This is when the staff at Genesis know they can break all the rules. Plus, world-class designers have flown in for new collections of fashion jewelry from New York and California. Stuff you can't find anywhere else. It will all be on sale. If you're getting engaged or have any special event coming up, this is the one you can't miss, the incredible buying opportunity. And Genesis has opened up the vault for this with the largest collection of GIA-certified diamonds and lab-grown diamonds, all shapes, all sizes, at prices you never thought possible. Don't miss the expanded selection and the extreme value pricing. People drive for hours to be part of this. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's even open Sunday, exclusively at Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes in Green Hills and Cool Springs, both locations. See store for details.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Another day of the Donald Trump hush money trial. Crime here in Tennessee. A body found next to a highway. And a historic decision by the Federal Trade Commission. Will tell you what it was. 5:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport. The thrill of victory.
Bam, 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 bam.
And the agony of defeat.
That's right, it's time for Mac Maury's wide, wild, wiki, weird world, or whatever it is, world of sports. And now, without further ado, because we've gone over on our earlier segment, here's Mac Maury, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Woo! All right. We got big stuff.
We got big stuff. I need everyone to put a pot of coffee on, because, one second. Thank you. Need everyone to put a pot of coffee on, because we got puck drop tonight, 9 p.m. Another late puck drop. It's just like, come on. I know.
You got to get off the West Coast.
I know. Seriously, we got to get back here to Bridgestone. And actually just found out I got free tickets to both home games here for the Preds this weekend. So I'm going to be at both games, Friday and Sunday, cheering loud. I may come back here Monday without my voice for this segment, but that's okay.
Well, it's good to be you.
It'll be worth it, because hopefully we'll be in the lead. Maybe the series will be tied. Who knows? All I know is that tonight, puck drop against the Vancouver Canucks, 9 o'clock. Again, that first game, nail biter, up 2-1, headed into the third period. Franchise record for Vancouver, 2 goals in just 13 seconds. Then they get an empty netter to make it 4-2. So really kind of a heartbreaker there, because you thought the Predators were in control for the majority of that game. Saros didn't play great as far as the goalies are concerned. Yossi, Philip Forsberg, those two guys need to be on point tonight. You saw Yossi play really well. Forsberg maybe a little iffy on Sunday. Today, both those guys need to be just stellar, because those are our best players. Ryan O'Reilly needs to maybe score another goal like he did on Sunday, which was a surprise. So we'll see. I'd say the eyes, though, when you're watching tonight, if you get the chance to watch any of the game tonight, eyes out on our goalie, guys. Saros is one of the better goalies in the league, but it seems like in the postseason, his stats maybe take a little bit of a downward spiral. And, I mean, you guys know it better than as well as most people. You need a good goalie to make it far in this NHL
That's
playoffs.
Right. Absolutely.
You need the goalie. So excited though. Let's go. Let's go, Predators. Make this happen.
Well, hold on. Now we have a tradition.
Yes,
that
of course.
I thought you
Of
guys were
course.
going to take care of in my absence last week, but apparently you did not. That's right. In the playoffs, a little song that we put together a few years back when the Predators went to another playoff round. We thought they had a really good chance. And it's called, because the tradition of throwing the catfish on the ice at the beginning of the game. That has happened, hasn't it, here at home?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have, right. Okay.
Yeah, when we come back. Yeah,
when we come back, it will happen. That's right. So we put together a song with some of Nashville's top musicians, and I wrote the words, and a guy named Buddy Hyatt did the music. Ladies and gentlemen, are we ready?
We're ready.
Oh, yeah.
Time for Throw That Catfish Down, son.
Whiskers like a cat, feeding on the bottom till he's nice and fat. He'd be mighty tasty in cornmeal fried up hot with a side of okra or anything you got. But this big old catfish won't be sitting on your plate. He's got a higher calling, he's got a number plate. Gonna dress him up real nice. Gonna take him down to Smashville. Gonna throw him on the ice. Throw that catfish down, son, before they drop the puck. Throw that catfish down, son, it'll bring you lots of luck. Throw that catfish down, son, it's time to start the fun. That catfish down, son, we can win another one. Throw that catfish down, son, before they drop the puck. Throw that catfish down, son, it'll bring you lots of luck. Throw that catfish down, son, it's time to start the fun. Throw that catfish down, son, so we can win another one.
Woo! Yeah.
I'm telling you, if that don't get your blood going.
Woo!
I'm ready.
Listen, just want to say, the vocalist on that, a guy named Michael Lusk, the guitar work done by the incomparable work of now I've forgotten his name.
Brent Mason.
Brent Mason, thank you. Brent Mason did the guitar work. top musicians across the board.
That's awesome.
That's right. Let's get it done. It's now 31 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock.
Let's call it 5:32. I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 76 degrees, windy in Music City. Got a latest traffic report and weather forecast in 5 minutes. David Pecker, the former publisher of the National Enquirer, back on the stand today at former President Trump's hush money trial. Pecker telling the court that he was Trump's, quote, eyes and ears and would squash any negative stories about him. Before his testimony, the judge and Todd Blanche, Trump's attorney, argued over whether Trump repeatedly violated his gag order. Catherine Falders.
Todd Blanche was asked multiple times to give certain evidence, some reasoning, if you will, about why Trump can say what he wants to say at a camera. And Blanche really couldn't do that. And that's when the judge admonished him and said directly to Trump's lead lawyer that you are losing credibility with this court. Certainly not something that Trump's lawyers want to hear.
Right now in Tennessee, Metro Police investigating after a body was found on I-24 East between Old Hickory Boulevard and Briley Parkway this afternoon. The Metro Police fatal team is over there in conducting their investigation, which is active. And an historic decision, the Federal Trade Commission is banning non-compete agreements so companies could no longer stop their employees from taking jobs with competitors. The FTC voted to end the practice today, saying getting rid of the rule promotes competition and protects freedom of workers to change jobs. Perry Russum.
The Federal Trade Commission says 1 in 5 Americans are subject to a non-compete, a rule the group decided to end today. The FTC says getting rid of non-competes will raise wages, create thousands of new businesses, and increase innovation. There is one exception for what's called senior executives who already have non-competes and make more than $150,000 a year. The rule takes effect in 180 days. That could be pushed back if lawsuits are filed.
And that is the latest news, weather, and traffic on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
You know, there are no pills or spinal creams that can magically be applied that will open up your spinal disc and take pressure off your nerves. It just doesn't work that way. You really have two choices if you have back pain: surgery, or you can pursue non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They have state-of-the-art facilities, the latest in high-tech equipment that can give you these non-surgical procedures. And because getting better is so important to Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they're offering half off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT knee machine, which is sort of like spinal decompression, except it's really designed to gently elongate the knee and allow the healing therapy to get deeper within your knee. And listen, here's the other thing. If you are a new patient, for $23, you get an exam, a consultation, and your first treatment. I mean, what's not to love about that? You know, I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today to set up your first appointment. 615-246-5009. Again, that's 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It is 39 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. We're cranking it out here today on the drive. All kinds of stuff going on. I just wanted to mention that if you like the Throw That Catfish Down song, we have posted it on our social media platforms, and you can play it out there. Chris, all the places they can find it.
Well, I posted the link on our Facebook page, and that, of course, takes you to our YouTube channel where you can view the. It's not a video, but the audio is attached there.
Attached to a video file. Okay,
yeah.
Right. And I just was thinking back on that day because the way this all happened was I was sitting around with not much to do one day, and we were getting ready to go into the playoffs, and I thought I love this catfish thing where they throw a catfish on the ice. I'm gonna write some words and see if I can write a song and write at least the lyrics to the song.
Yeah.
So I came up with the lyrics. It came together in about 10 minutes. It really came very quickly. But I don't have I play around with music, but I'm not that good, and certainly don't have the training I need to do the musical side of it. So I turned to a friend of mine named Buddy Hyatt, and I said, Buddy, is this anything? Can we turn this into something? And he said, yeah. And he took it and he wrote the music, and he wrote the charts for it. And then Buddy did a thing, he still does it, where you can go in and have your song recorded with some of the top Nashville cats. And so Brent Mason was on guitar that day, and Buddy got on the keyboards, and we got maybe about 7-8 different instrumentalists, top Nashville cats, drummers and fiddle players and the whole 9 yards out there. The fiddle player plays for the Time Jumpers. I mean, we're talking about real quality people here, top of the line stuff. And what it was amazing to me is that whole song was recorded in 2 takes. The first take, they felt like they didn't get something right. They washed it out in the first few seconds. They did a second take, and that's the take you hear here.
Wow.
The whole thing was done, wrapped up, and was sent to me on a big file, recorded as if live, 20 minutes.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing? And these guys are so good. They do that all day long. They crank out stuff for people. Like you get a song or a demo, and you say, I would like to see, get somebody to sing it, but I need some good instrument. Then they'll record your song, and then, you put the vocals on it, and then you can shop it around. That's how it works. So what they do is they get a lot of people who do demo work at this little session that they do on a regular basis. And I talked to Buddy the other day, and he said, yeah, we're still doing it, doing well. And so, I just would recommend Buddy Hyatt, who did this, by the way, gratis. Nobody made any money on this.
Nice.
And we decided that if we made any money, we would give it to charity. So I don't get anything out of it, and Buddy doesn't get anything out of it, and sadly the musicians don't get anything out of it. But I'm telling you, it was quite the day. And I got to get in the ear before the first take, because I told Buddy, I said, honestly, I could die a happy man if I got to tell Brent Mason how I wanted this done. Brent Mason, it's like, he's like so many levels above most other musicians in this town. He is just brilliant. And so Buddy said, well, if you're going to do it now. So I hit the little button, and in his earpiece, I said, hey, Brent. He said, yeah. I said, I want you to play this guitar solo so that it peels the paint off the studio wall when you're done. And that's what I got.
He delivered.
He delivered for me. It was tremendous. It's tremendous. So anyway, you can find the link on our various platforms and, listen to it. I think it was a lot of fun. And we bring it out every time the Preds get into the playoffs.
Yeah, share it with any Preds fan that you know.
We don't understand why the Preds haven't jumped on this over all these years. We're just shocked, stunned, and amazed. It seemed like they would want to jump on this.
Yep.
But and can you imagine playing this in the arena?
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know why it's not been done. I mean, Mac, do you have any contacts with the Preds to ask them why they keep passing over this obvious, love letter that we wrote them?
I was about to say, whoever gave me my free tickets, off to talk to her, see if we can pull some strings.
They need to play this thing in the arena.
It got me hype. It got my blood pumped. I'm ready for it to be 9 o'clock.
Am I wrong? I mean, it's like, of course, I have a dog in this fight because I wrote the words, and it's sort of been my project. But am I wrong? That's a heck of a good song.
No, it's actually really good. No, seriously, Brian. It's really catchy. It's good. It gets you hyped up. It's like a perfect sports team song.
Yeah, that's exactly. I was thinking the whole time they got to play this in the arena.
Yeah.
If they play this in the arena, the crowd will go wild.
Everyone will sing it.
Yeah. Yep. And everybody be wanting to get. Where can I get that record? Yep. And then we could perhaps put it up somewhere and do something for charity. If people really, we could put it on iTunes, I guess, or whatever. Yeah, right. But and then give the money to charity, like we give it to the homeless shelter, the Nashville Mission. We'll do that.
We really should try to get it in there, Brian.
Well,
I don't know how we do that, but we should try.
I mean, you got friends down the hall at the Zone.
Let me see what I can do.
And I don't know why we pull this out every time, and they just I don't know why they haven't jumped on it like a duck on a June bug. I would.
Yeah, absolutely would.
Maybe what we need to do is get a sound system, a PA system, and go set it up down in the little plaza outside Bridgestone Arena.
Yeah. Just crank it
before the game on was it Friday?
Yeah.
The first home game, and just blast it and see if anyone takes notice.
Or we could get a car or truck with the big speakers on,
huge,
and drive it around. I got a pickup truck.
That's a good idea. Yeah,
I could pickup truck and a trailer and a little generator. Well, actually, I can run it off the generator. I got electrical connections in my truck.
Yeah.
We could power a couple of amplifiers, and then get some big horn speakers, and we could just drive around town blasting it at the next home game.
Yeah, get a Preds flag on the truck. Fly it around.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And defy them to ignore us any longer. It baffles me. I mean, it was a love letter to the Preds.
It's too good of an idea. I think they're going, if only we had come up with this. Maybe that's what they're thinking.
I don't know. I can't quite figure it out. Well, anyway, a couple of things. Trump's trials are continuing. There was a hearing today over whether Trump should be penalized for violating the gag order. I don't think this is fair at all, the gag order. It just to me, it seems, how in the world is the man expected to go on trial and not defend himself because there are two courts. There's a court of law and there's the court of public opinion. And the man is running for the presidency. And so the judge said that he would reserve his decision on whether to fine Donald Trump over alleged gag order violations in the hush money trial. Now, as we told you yesterday, opening arguments took place in this trial, and this is where the defense and the prosecution lay out their various positions and what the jury is going to hear. And Jonathan Turley, I tell you what, when I want to know what's going on with, a case, or I need legal analysis, I love Jonathan Turley, because Jonathan Turley will tell you exactly how he thinks it is from a legal standpoint. Now, I will tell you, I don't think Jonathan Turley is a particularly big fan of Donald Trump, but he is a fan of the law. And he says he was absolutely in disbelief over what he heard in these opening arguments.
Trump is right. I mean, this is an embarrassment. I mean, the fact that we are actually talking about this case being presented in a New York courtroom leaves me in utter disbelief. I mean, the arguments today did, in fact, capture all the problems here. You had this misdemeanor under state law that had run out. This is going back to related to the 2016 election. And they zapped it back into life by alleging that there was a campaign finance violation under the federal laws that doesn't exist. The Department of Justice doesn't view it this way. But on top of that, you've got these tough factual issues that were laid out well by the Trump team, saying someone else designated this as a legal expense, and he was actually paid far in excess of this because of this was a legal account. But also keep in mind, this is what Hillary Clinton's people did. Remember when they funded the Steele dossier, which they denied to reporters, they put it as a legal expense, and then they fought the eventual fine that they received from the federal government, saying, but it was a legal expense. But now you've got some of the same Democrats supporting this bizarre theory.
It is a very weak case. Most good lawyers, if they are honest and they don't have a dog in the fight, will tell you that this is a really weak case. And in fact, the federal government looked at this possibility and decided not to bring the case at all. And the only reason this is going forward is because it's being done on the state level. And this novel legal theory will not hold a lot of water. And if the judge were an honest and unbiased judge in this particular case, you would look at this and there would be a motion to dismiss, and it would be long over. It would long be gone, because this novel legal theory really does not apply. Now, look, that's the purpose of this trial. Is like all the other trials. They're out to try to diminish the former president in the eyes of voters in advance of the election. And I don't think it works, because, as you know, I have a theory here that the more you try to hurt Trump with stuff like this, the worse it goes. He's Obi-Don Kenobi.
If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
And I think that if he gets a conviction in this case, and they say, well, he's now a felon, most people say that there's practically no chance the judge would recommend jail time, although it's technically a possibility. Nobody seems to think, and including some of the best legal minds out there, that the judge would go down that path. But they could make him a felon, and then they could say, okay, you know what? The only thing, he doesn't have to stop running, even if he's a felon. He doesn't have to stop running. He could still be sworn in if he was elected, unless he happens to be in jail, which, as I said, doesn't seem very likely at all. Certainly not very likely. But this is really designed, number one, to keep him off the campaign trail, and to keep hammering away. But it doesn't work, because I think in this election cycle, people have made up their mind. They know who Donald Trump is, and they either like him or they don't like him. And they know who Joe Biden is, and they either like him or they don't like him. I think that in this election, opinions are already pretty much locked in. And there's a small wedge of people in the middle who haven't really made up their mind and might be dissuaded by something like this. But to me, it feels like it will have absolutely no impact, except that he can't go out and campaign except on Wednesdays and the weekend. It's just that's not right. That's not fair at all. 51 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. United Structural Systems, they've been around since 1994. They're the place to call if you feel like you have structural problems with your house, foundation repair, something like that. But let's talk about waterproofing your house. I mean, maybe with all of the rain, you've noticed some things. Is your house trying to send you a message? Do you have standing water in your crawl space? Do you have wet basement walls? What about musty odors or floor joists with wood rot? Cracks in basement floors, hardwood floors that are cupping because of all the moisture coming from beneath your house. This would be your house trying to tell you you have waterproofing issues and you should call the folks at USS, have them come out and do an assessment. Here's the way it works. They'll come out, they'll look at your situation, they'll tell you exactly how to fix it, tell you what's involved. And if you decide to go forward, you don't pay a penny until the job is done and you are completely satisfied. That's right, satisfied, completely satisfied, and you don't pay a red cent until that happens. So at USS, they guarantee their best. Serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky. Learn more online at USSTN.com or call this number, 615-488-7855.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
You know, spring is upon us. Now is the time to update your outdoor lawn equipment. And the place to start is at DT McCall's. They got a big spring Cub Cadet mower sale coming up April 26th through May 4th at the Cookville location. Now, look, I got to tell you, I went to DT McCall's and got my Cub Cadet. They delivered it out to the house. And, within a few minutes, I sort of figured out how the whole thing worked. And I love my zero-turn mower. I can mow my 2 acres of lawn in about 45 minutes with that thing. Got a big 60-inch swath on it. It's a great mower. It's my favorite piece of equipment. I actually enjoy mowing my lawn because riding around in the Cub Cadet is such fun. But it's a great mower, and you can get one at this sale coming up April 26th through May 4th. You can find Cub Cadet riding mowers with 42, 50, 60, 72-inch decks, or you can get the walk-behind mower with Cub Cadet if you have a smaller lot. And when you purchase a Cub Cadet mower from DT McCall, you are getting access to their in-house service department that is really top-notch. With a large selection of Cub Cadet mowers, free delivery, and an in-house service department, it's an easy choice. Again, their big Cub Cadet spring sale will be April 26th through May 4th at the Cookville location. Now's the time to get your Cub Cadet. Learn more at dtmccalls.com.
.601, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 74 degrees on Music Row. Traffic, weather forecast 5 minutes away. The bill to allow teachers to carry firearms in Tennessee classrooms just passed. Channel 4's Marissa Sulik down there at the Capitol.
We were up in the gallery with everyone who was opposing this piece of legislation, and they were standing on their feet for over an hour listening to every single word lawmakers were saying about this bill. Now, both sides of the gallery were full of people. They were packed with them opposing this bill, and one teacher was removed for speaking out. It started off with Democrats who tried to pass over a dozen amendments that ended up failing. They also had a lot of questions about liability, like would insurance end up covering this? The sponsor of the bill, Representative Ryan Williams, says that faculty members would be the ones held liable, and Republicans say this is necessary for rural schools who have difficulty getting SROs, and there are many steps employees must take in order to conceal carry. They also say this is not required. It is a choice by schools, and they could take that up as they please.
A lot of training that a teacher would be required to do in order to be able to carry on campus includes 40 hours of training, a psych eval, a background check, along with approval from local law enforcement and school officials such as the principal and the superintendent. Another bill in Tennessee reached a verdict today. This one did not pass. It was the bill that would have outlawed pride flags in public schools across Tennessee. Would have also barred all flags other than the U.S. flag, the Tennessee state flag, city or government flags, official college or university flags, military flags, or a flag that represents an Indian tribe from being placed up at a school. Animal crime here in Tennessee. Channel 4 reports that Bedford County Animal Control seized 26 malnourished horses from a property next to Highway 31 yesterday. A total of 25 walking horses and one Palomino pony from babies to 20 years old were seized by animal control staff. Officials said that the horses will be fostered and distributed to 3 different agencies. The seizure took about 30 people and several trucks and trailers to remove those animals. And record profits for the largest audio streaming service in the world, Spotify. Jason Nathanson.
The place where Taylor Swift's new album is setting streaming records, Spotify, is setting revenue records. In its latest earnings report, the company says in the first quarter of 2024, it passed $1 billion in gross profit for the first time ever. Total active monthly users, free and paid, were up 19% year over year to 615 million worldwide, and paid subscribers were up 14%. This comes after big-time cost-cutting and layoffs last year. Spotify let go around 17% of its staff, about 1,500 jobs.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
It is 8 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Hey, everybody, I'm Brian Wilson, and this is The Drive. Good evening. For April 23rd, hour number 4. We got one more hour to crank out here, and then we'll hand it over to Mark Levin, the great one who will carry on through the evening. A lot of stuff going on today. As you know, the state legislature took up and passed the measure of the bill that would arm teachers in the classroom, concealed carry. And you really, if you describe it that way, you're simplifying what is a very nuanced bill. But one way or the other, if you go through a background check, if you get your fingerprint submitted, you get an enhanced carry, concealed carry permit. If you go through a psychological evaluation, if you go through a background check, if you get a sign-off from your principal, your superintendent of schools, and the local law enforcement official in your area who's responsible, be it a sheriff or a police chief, then, you would be allowed to carry. Oh, by the way, 40 hours of training every year in order to do this. And so, you don't hear much about that part of it. And you don't hear the fact that if one principal says no, if one superintendent says no, if the police chief says no, it's not going to happen. That's it. It's over. This is really aimed at rural schools. But boy, to hear the wailing and gnashing of teeth that's been going on up on Capitol Hill, you think that this was something else. This has been done in some 32 other states, where in rural areas where they're really concerned about protecting kids, where you might have a law enforcement agency that has like 3 deputies on patrol. If you wait for the deputy to arrive because there's been a school shooting, it's going to take 15 or 20 minutes. Let's remember that in Covenant, 6 people were killed in 3 minutes. 6 people dead in 3 minutes. So, when we talk about seconds counting and the police are a minute away, in some of these small rural areas, they might be 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes away. Think of the mayhem. So this is really designed to offer that opportunity to some rural schools where they don't have, or they have a difficult time keeping SROs, school resource officers. There's funding in the state for every school to have one, but some schools have a difficult time finding them and keeping them because police officers are in such high demand right now. So, this just gives you an option. I mean, I just can't understand how anybody could be against a scenario where, the police are going to be 10, 15, 20 minutes away. And that it would be all them and no you. You have no way to respond. I think I would feel better knowing that there was a teacher with some concealed carry training and had gone through 40 hours of a background check and the whole night. I would feel better, not worse. I'd like to know. I mean, they said, well, children are going to die. What hyperbole that is. Children will die if you don't find ways to protect them. And so this is just one option. But boy, to hear the wailing and the gnashing of teeth and all of the organized hoopla that was going on in the gallery, you would think that, every English teacher and every science teacher and every home ec teacher in the entire state is going to be packing heat, which is just not what's going on. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to be watching the local newscast to see whether or not they provide the entire story, or whether they just focus on, the screaming and the wailing and the gnashing of teeth and the big dog and pony show that was put on for their benefit, or whether they actually talk about why some people think this might be a really good idea. So I'm going to bring that to you tomorrow. Maybe we'll find that we have a responsible press corps, but I have a feeling that there are some who won't tell the entire story. So that's the big news out of today. Let's do a quick 2020 update. Oh, that's not what I wanted to hit there. I wanted to hit this one here. 2020 update. I hate that. Hit the wrong button. We got a few little things to share with you. The Pennsylvania Democrat primary is happening tonight. In fact, it's happening today, and the votes will be counted tonight. President Joe Biden, according to Breitbart, faces another uncommitted ballot test in Pennsylvania. as more than 500,000 voters, including those in other key swing states, have already cast protest votes against him in the Democrat nominating process that takes place across the country. You see, in some states, you can vote either for a candidate or you can say, I don't like any of my choices. I want to be uncommitted. And an uncommitted vote in this situation, when you have a sitting president running for re-election, is considered a protest vote. And already there have been some 500,000 uncommitted votes cast in Democrat primaries around the country. The Democratic Socialist of America helped a larger coalition in leading an uncommitted effort in Pennsylvania in the build-up to Tuesday's primary, as Arab Americans, Muslim young voters, and far-left progressives have joined in what has become a national movement protesting Biden's handling of the Israel-Hamas war. The movement is threatening Biden's re-election odds, as it remains to be seen how many of these voters he can win back, especially as some say they will never vote for him. So I think two things happen. I mean, there's two states to watch here, battleground states. One is Pennsylvania, and one is Michigan. In Michigan, there was 100,000 uncommitted votes cast against him as sort of a protest, largely coming from the Dearborn area, where you have about 100,000 Muslim Americans who are not very happy with the way they perceive that the president has supported Israel. It's such a fine line for this president to walk right now because, on one hand, the Muslim Americans are not happy because they think he's too supportive of Israel. And then you run the risk, if you lean too far the other way, of alienating the Jewish voters who have always been Democrat voters in the state. So, he really can't win on this one. But the question is, how many people in the state of Pennsylvania will also follow suit? If you lose Pennsylvania and if you lose Michigan, you're not going to win the presidency. There's just no way the Electoral College map works out for you. Excuse me. So this is threatening his reelection odds as it persists despite becoming the presumptive Democrat nominee. He's, let's see. The uncommitted Pennsylvania group's goal is to reach 40,000 write-in votes today. The Penn Capital Star and WHYY reported. Miracle Jones, a volunteer organizer, told WHYY that the campaign has reached 50,000 voters. The goal is nearly half of the 81,660 vote margin Biden beat former President Donald Trump by in 2020. I think it's important that we use the reflective democracy to show our disdain for what is happening in our opposition. And this tool, the uncommitted campaign, is one of the ways we're able to engage in the electoral process and directly talk to those who are representing us. Boy, I mean, and you know what? Biden is really walking the line. He has condemned some of the anti-Semitic protest on college campuses. But then the other day he was asked about it, and he tried to walk the fine line. Oh, there are good people on both sides of this debate. No, I don't agree with that, by the way, but that's what he was trying. He's trying to mollify both sides, trying not to alienate anybody any further than he's already done. Uncommitted PA's website emphasizes the campaign is to show Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are actively losing their base. We are using our votes to demonstrate to the Biden-Harris administration that their support is dependent on the ability to stand with the majority of voters in their calls for immediate and lasting ceasefire in Palestine. The majority of voters? No, I don't think so. Let's show the Democrat Party and Biden that they're actively losing their base, that they need to win the 2024 election by not calling a ceasefire. The movement began with the Listen to Michigan campaign, whose goal was to get 10,000 protest votes, and they got about 100,000. So there you go. That's pretty interesting. We'll see how that works out. Keep an eye on that for sure. Now, it's not been talked about much, and I haven't checked the Senate. Can you check, Chris, for me and see if the Senate has voted on the $95 million package? I meant to do that during the break because they were supposed to take it up today and pass it. And if they pass it, it goes on to the president's desk for his signature. But there, you had money for Israel, money for Ukraine, money for Taiwan, No money for our border, but about $300 million for the Ukrainian border. So I'm not crazy about this bill. But there's a fourth bill that's not getting a lot of attention right now, and that would ban TikTok. Well, it doesn't really ban it. What it would do is it would say within, according to this reading, 9 months of the passage of this measure, that TikTok would have to divest in the United States or it would be banned. TikTok says it would not share U.S. user data, but our intelligence services say, as far as they can tell, it's happening a lot, and that the information that's on your child's phone or on your phone, if you're big on the TikTok, actually resides on a server inside Communist China, and by law, the Chinese Communist Party would have access to it. They're not allowed to say no if they are asked for or need access to, and apparently backdoors are built into these servers. How is that going to play if the president signs? Because he said if it comes to his desk, he would sign the bill. A majority of black voters oppose legislation banning TikTok, according to new polling obtained by The Hill. The poll was conducted by ClearPath Strategies and found that 51% of black voters oppose the ban and 55% of black voters view TikTok favorably. The Hill obtained the polling through the internal ClearPath Strategies memo. On Saturday, Congress passed bipartisan legislation that would give TikTok owners 9 months to divest its U.S. operations or be banned. And again, President Joe Biden has said he would sign the bill into law if passed by the Senate. A company told employees over the weekend that as soon as Biden signs the legislation, we will move to the courts for a legal challenge. We'll continue to fight. They believe that this legislation is a clear violation of the First Amendment, according to an email obtained by Reuters. But you can't afford to alienate black voters. If you're Joe Biden right now, he's already losing about 10% of those voters to Donald Trump, and that is very concerning for Democrats. And if they are offended by the TikTok ban, you may lose even more when he signs that bill into law. It's going to happen, it seems. Did you get a read on that?
Yes, the Senate did vote today, and they did advance the $95 billion aid package. Let's see, it was a vote of 80-19.
Wow, there's a lot of support there for that. Surprisingly, only 19, I guess, Republicans voted against it. So that's pretty heavy support. And so this now goes, these four bills now would go to the president's desk, where he is expected to sign them all. He wanted money for Ukraine, he wanted money for Israel, he wanted money for Taiwan, and he said he would sign the TikTok bill. So I think that's fait accompli. That's going to happen, it sounds like to me. Very interesting, very interesting. In a minute, I want to talk about vice presidential candidates for Donald Trump and who the Democrats are looking at as the possibilities. It's all coming up after this break, 21 past the hour. You know, the weather is getting warmer. It means grilling season is upon us. And if you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, you can enjoy some of those same flavors at home right on your own grill. Just take a walk down your local grocery store aisle, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your chicken, steaks, and chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of the other brands, so you don't have to worry about over-marinating. It can be used on other dishes as well. And don't forget his honey mustard salad dressing, the South's favorite. Use it as salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh-cut veggies, or chips. A recipe used in this restaurant for over 35 years. And if your favorite grocer is not stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, just visit johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes without saying, those times when you want someone else to do all the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Well, who are the Democrats looking at as possibilities for Trump's running mate? Emily's list has come up with 14 names. Let me just run through them. Tim Scott, Republican of South Carolina. Senator Scott, I think, is probably, maybe in my mind, maybe the best choice. Representative Elise Stefanik, Republican of New York. Senator J.D. Vance, Republican of Ohio. That's been an interesting thought. Governor Kristi Noem is the other one that comes to mind, and she's a favorite of Trump's and has a lot of gubernatorial experience and is well thought of, I think. This would be an interesting choice, and boy, it'd be complicated because you can't have a president and a vice president from the same state, and that comes up several times here. Senator Marco Rubio. Boy, would that be powerful. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Republican of Arkansas. Former Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson, probably not, although I really like him. Marjorie Taylor Greene, that ain't going to happen. Representative Byron Donalds, also of Florida, same problem, but that could be resolved. Katie Britt, Republican of Alabama, Senator. Arizona Senate candidate Carrie Lake, I think she's really dedicated to running for the Senate. Governor Ron DeSantis, again of Florida, same problem, but as I say, that can be resolved. Trump could just change his home residency back to New York. Businessman Vivek Ramaswamy, I think he's probably going to serve in the cabinet, but I don't know that he's going to be a vice presidential choice. And they put on the list former United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley. No, I don't think that's going to happen. I was reminded today, though, I had a breakfast with my friends over at Beacon Capital Management, just time to, have a good breaking of the bread and catch up with each other. And we got to talking about the elections and how are they going to resolve it. I mean, one of the big problems that Joe Biden has, if he wants to go ahead and stay in the race, is that the Republicans are going to go, look, Biden, if you just look at the actuarial tables, there's a chance he's not going to make it through the next term if he were to get reelected. And so the question would be, well, then are you ready for a President Kamala Harris? And I don't think that many people are ready for Kamala Harris as vice president. And I think that's a pretty good argument. So the question is, well, how could they resolve that? And I was reminded that Sonia Sotomayor, they're pushing her to resign out of the Supreme Court, right? So when the Supreme Court session ends, she could announce her plan to resign, and they could offer it to Kamala Harris. Think about it. It's not like it's not a horrible job. It's a lifetime appointment. You can't say that, it's a shabby job. It's an important job. And she could probably get confirmed in a Democrat-controlled Senate before the election. So, I mean, I'm saying that would solve their Kamala problem. And then, you could find another vice presidential candidate who is not a laughing joke and the laughing stock of America. And that would then reassure people, well, okay, but if Joe doesn't make it, we've got this person or that person to be the vice president. I think that's one way they solve their problem. The other way, of course, is that they do a switcheroo at the convention. And I don't know, that seems like to me that would be very late in the game, but not unheard of. So I don't know. I think one of those two scenarios is probably what's going to happen as we go forward. But I mean, I kept wondering, why are they pushing Sotomayor to get out? And I think it has to do with the fact that they would like to offer it to Kamala Harris to solve their vice presidential problem. And then in the back rooms of the Supreme Court, you would hear Kamala's cackle. Can you imagine? No, please. By the way, they've done surveys, and the thing that most people object to about Kamala is that laugh. Drives
How
people
could you
crazy.
not love that? I mean,
It is 30 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Discover your retirement savings potential in less than 30 seconds with Beacon Capital Management's free retirement savings calculator. Simple step-by-step calculator is easy to use, and you'll get your results right away. Take the next step in your financial planning journey and see how much you could have saved for retirement by now. Just visit askbeaconnow.com to get started on that. And then, when you find out what a mess you're in, maybe you want to call them and set up an appointment. Here's the number, 615-488-9303. That's 615-488-9303. Wouldn't it be great to have peace of mind that you're on the right path as you head to retirement? Beacon can provide you that reassurance. It starts with a simple phone call, 615-488-9303. Replace the worry with confidence that you're on the right path. The experts at Beacon stand ready to help take your stress away. Learn more at askbeaconnow.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 37 minutes past the hour now of 6 o'clock, heading into the last few minutes of our show and the fourth and final hour of the drive for this April 23rd. I want to finish strong here, but I've got some, we've been hitting you pretty hard with a bunch of hard news here. I want to change topics and slow it down. I got a couple of stories that I think are very interesting, but not necessarily breaking news, as we like to bring you on the drive here. This story is in the Daily Mail, and it says, exclusive, America's fight to save handwriting from extinction as IQs begin to fall for the first time ever, and teachers warn that some 20-year-olds can't sign checks anymore. So, yeah, apparently cursive writing fell out of favor in the educational process for a while. Now, there's a trend, go back to it. But part of the problem is it's motor control. It is a fine motor skill that stimulates and challenges the brain. But with schools turning to technology, and said some teachers are complaining that students can barely hold a pencil, but they can double-click on their phones like crazy. And I'm sure that's true. And students with learning disabilities, when children can read but have trouble writing letters, can also be effective because methods of overcoming this ability requires them to practice writing by hand. And then there's some studies that show that IQ levels have dropped for the first time in a century, and it is indicated that technology is to blame. Well, we don't think deeply anymore. We don't pontificate. We just scroll from thing to thing to thing to thing, and we don't stop and actually, sort of think more deeply or do deep problem solving. And so much of the load of things that we used to have to remember. I mean, do you remember how you used to have to keep phone numbers in your head? I still remember my childhood phone number. Area code 915-362-1821. That was the number at my house when I grew up in Odessa, Texas. Now I wonder who owns that phone number now.
Yeah, I ought to try it.
Apparently the 915 area code no longer applies to Odessa, I understand. But one way or the other, that was the number. And I still remember it. Why? Because I had to know it. I had to memorize it, But beyond your own number, Chris, do you actually know your wife's telephone number?
I do know it, but it's only because I'm the one that chose it for her. Yeah. But if not, then I wouldn't. Like my mother's cell phone number, no clue.
No clue.
No idea. Yeah.
But it's in your phone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you got it's all stored there. But we used to have to memorize those things or write them down and put them on a big list. And we no longer have to do math because math is all done by calculators. We don't have to really think deeply because computers take so much of the load off of us. So, I mean, what is happening is that because computers are getting smarter and smarter and programming is getting smarter and smarter, and who knows what's going to happen with artificial intelligence, we won't have to think at all. It's like that song In the Year 2525, where we'd all become our brains become shrew, whatever that means. But I think it's interesting that we are losing our IQ, and one of the things they say is because we no longer practice the art of cursive writing. Let me read some more of this story. It's pretty interesting. New legislative bills have been passed in states like California and New York requiring students aged 6 to 12 to learn cursive writing. Others are still advancing in state legislatures, while some are still hesitant to revert back, including Colorado, New Mexico, and Nevada. I wish students would learn how to write in cursive, said Tracy Bendish, an autism therapist for Jefferson Public Schools. I think that's in Colorado, Jefferson County Schools. But it's like the telephone on the wall, less and less used, and then not there anymore. I walk by in my kitchen. There's a plate on the wall for a phone. It's the ugliest thing ever. And I'm never going to get a hardline phone again. Who needs hardline phones? There's a big educational disparity between schools that readily have access to gadget versus those who don't, causing what is called the digital divide. Students who have better access to technology will have better educational success than those that don't. And they talk about that for a while. Last year, researchers at the University of Oregon and Northwestern reported that IQ scores had dropped because technology shortens attention spans and decreases the need to think deeply. You don't have to. You constantly are bombarded. You don't have to think. You're shown stuff. That's. I remember Marshall McLuhan wrote a book called "The Media is the Message." I think that's the title of the book, and he talked about how radio is a hot medium. You know why? Because if I paint a picture for you, you have to imagine it in your mind. You have to play along. And so if I paint a picture with words, then you have to use your imagination. Television is a cool medium because you just sit back and it just comes at you. Same is true with the internet and your phone. It just comes at you. You don't have to think deeply. You just have to absorb. No imagination is required. I remember that book. So far, nobody even remembers Marshall McLuhan these days. Technology has its benefits, but children need to be able to read cursive in the event a document is presented to them along their journey. I mean, I've heard stories, and I know it's true, of teachers who get a note from mom. Mom sends a note into the teacher about something, and it's written in cursive. And the note comes back, I don't know how to read cursive. The teachers don't know how to read it. and they don't know how to write it because they never have been required to do so. I've encountered so many secondary students and employment candidates who cannot sign documents relative to their onboarding process. Teachers and coworkers continue to struggle with ineligible handwriting. Illegible. What is it? Illegible. Not legible is what I should be saying. Handwriting. And 2021 survey conducted by one poll on behalf of BIC USA found that 45% of Americans struggle to read their own handwriting. Guilty as charged. I just took a picture of my rundown, which is, it's legal because I put it on a legal pad.
That's right, yeah.
And there, I'm pushing it. I'm sorry, the cameras, but people who are watching at home can see it. Honestly, nobody can read this but me. And I go back and I say, if I were to look at this tomorrow, I go, what the hell is this? I can't read this. I can't read my own writing. After one day, I mean, it's still pretty fresh in my mind. I know what all this stuff is because I wrote it down to make notes for the show. But tomorrow, if I tried to look at it, I would have a hard time deciphering some of it. I promise you. That comes, though, I think, mostly because I do things very quickly. I always rush through stuff. I can write where it's legible. I just don't do it very often. It comes really from being in hearings on Capitol Hill or, as a reporter. You got to take notes very quickly. So I write very fast, but not very pretty. You know what I'm saying?
See, it seems like the slower I try to go with it, the worse it gets. I never write in cursive. If I'm just writing stuff down, it's block letters. I never write in cursive.
But you know how to.
Oh, absolutely. I know how to. But the only thing I ever cursive is my signature.
This started happening in about 2010. It was part of the Common Core state standards. Excuse me. They set benchmarks for reading and math, but they didn't include cursive writing as part of the recommended curriculum. When they started dropping cursive from Common Core, lawmakers argued that cursive was time-consuming and wouldn't be useful as other skills like typing. And, when I was in high school, I actually took a typing course.
I did too.
I don't think they teach typing anymore because it's just assumed that by the time you get to, like the 6th or 7th grade, you already know how to type.
I don't think you know how to type like
correctly.
Real typing. Yeah. I don't think my son ever took any typing, so I don't think he knows how to type.
But he knows how to run a keyboard.
Oh, well, he can peck away.
He can peck away, right. Yep. I use the biblical method. Seek and ye shall find. I actually took a class and, home row and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, that sort of went out the window. But I got really fast. There was a thing that came out when I was a younger reporter called the IBM Selectric. Oh, that was a great typewriter. Fast, had a little ball. Remember the little ball?
Oh, yeah.
Those were, they were rapid fast. And so I would crank out scripts on that, and I could bang out a 2-minute script in maybe, 5 or 6 minutes. I was that fast. You had to be fast because you're always up against a deadline in a newsroom. But was it perfect? No. Not even close. But it was good enough for me to go into the control room or into the edit room and read the script and edit the piece up. So it's all that mattered. It didn't have to be perfect.
That's right.
And then I went to college and got a master's degree in print journalism where it had to be right because you're writing now not for the ear but for the eye. And I had to learn things. I had to go back and revisit punctuation and all of the rules of English. But no, I just got where I was very, very fast. But writing now is where I do my deep thinking, I think. Writing stuff out on a legal pad, or I think well at a computer as well now, because I had to for all those years. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. But anyway, interesting thing. I wish we'd go back to it. I think we would do well if kids learned a little cursive writing. Wouldn't hurt them. Wouldn't kill them.
It's definitely been a conversation that we've had to have in my house with my son, who's 16 now. We've had to basically teach him how to sign his name because he'd never learned how to write cursive.
Wow. That's something.
Yeah, very strange.
And then I want to end on this story with the last couple of minutes that I have. This is a fascinating story. 46 years ago, they launched Voyager 1, the space probe, and it's been going out through our solar system. It is now on the outside of our solar system. It's, I forget how many millions of miles away, but it's happened in 1977. And lately, the probe has been sending gibberish back to NASA because of a broken chip. And because of the distance, NASA was not able to repair the chip, but they were able to rearrange the probe's code so it could send usable data again. And after having, they pretty much were ready to write off Voyager after 46 years, the thing is still cranking, but they're now saying it's still providing science and providing usable data, and is now working well enough to continue its mission.
That's amazing.
46 years. I forget, it's like 11 million miles from Earth. 11. I got to turn the page here. Voyager 1 launched in September of 1977. It left our solar system in 2012. It is 15 billion miles away, traveling at 37,800 miles per hour, and a signal from that satellite, that probe, takes 22 and a half hours to reach Earth. But still cranking. It's 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Grace Point Healthcare is the standard for affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine. How? As a direct pay provider, your health care is delivered without the red tape of an insurer's guidelines. Smart Care plans make it even more affordable, starting at $69 a month. You get free office visits and basic labs for the entire year. Grace Point identifies and treats the root cause of a condition, not just the symptoms, through a comprehensive and functional approach. And by usually seeing you the same, or in some cases the next day, you're treated at your convenience. I mean, how hard is it to get a right now appointment for a doctor? Grace Point Healthcare, affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. They are located on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868. That's 599-6868 to set up your appointment.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.